Hi guys, welcome. Welcome to the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. It is so much fun here. I wish I could tell you guys what we get up to when we're off air that makes this show so amazing. This is the best esports show on the planet, the Umzansi Esports League. And of course, this is Season 3, brought to you by the amazing Nodwin Gaming. My name is Dr. Sid, here with two amazing chaps, Mr. Snare and Mr. Tendo, who definitely plays. How is it going, guys?
It's all good.
Going good. We are ready for
That's
some FIFA.
what's up. So we are, yes, and I'm excited because today is going to be a great day. The FIFA tournament has been heating up. We've seen some goals, some massacres, some destructions, some. Oh, what's that song again? I am the beast. Feed me mayhem or feed me beast. Listen, it is going to be a great day today as we look at the schedule. Of course, 21 will be starting in about 3 minutes. It's a matchup between Mobizilla and Deevak. Then we're going to take a break and come to you guys with the PUBG segment, which is going to start with maps on Erangel, Sandhawk, and then Miramar for game 3 today, which is going to be super exciting. But let's take a look at our matchups for today. It is the prize pool of the season 3, which is $17,500. Can you believe it?
Cash.
And we have $15,000 going to the PUBG Mobile Tournament and $2,500 staying right here in the FIFA 21 tournament. It's going to be exciting. And who are the players that are going to be playing today? You can see it is Mobizilla and Deevak, guys who definitely need to bring their A game because the Beast Bianchi is tearing up the charts and putting gap between everybody. So we need some more action and some more competition. But let's take a quick look at the standings to see exactly where these players rank up so far. Snare, do you want to tell us what this looks like and what's happening right now?
So like you were saying, the Beast has indeed opened up a pretty sizable gap between himself and everybody else. He's the only player to have won every single game. Today, the matchup that Deevak is playing, he's tied right now for second. He has an opportunity to open up the gap and get closer towards the Beast. It's going to be a real difficult thing to become first given the goal difference, but he has that opportunity to at least separate himself from the rest of the pack. And of course, Moby is staring at some of his contemporaries who have played with him since Season 1. Deevak, Unfazed, Young Savage. He wants to chase, so of course he really wants this win. A win here would get him into the top 4 position. It would be in a situation where others have a game in hand over him, so he's sort of relying on their luck, but he definitely needs to be able to show why he's here and his presence, his experience here in the tournament, because he does not want to lose and find himself suddenly competing with Bobo Beast and Darth Mayhem for bottom 2 instead of top 4.
Well, he definitely doesn't want to be in the bottom 2 because right now we'll take him into the top 4 position, which is where everyone wants to be. Tendo, how would you call this game, and what do the two players have to do today to sort of make sure that they secure the points?
Yeah, I mean, Moby needs to show up, I think, today. I think we've seen Moby in these spells of being good and bad, and you know, he's a seasoned player. Obviously, he's got a lot of experience, so it'll be good to see him just come into this one striking hard and ready to play. I'm really, keen for some counter attacking football on both sides here. I think, let the one person get a little bit of the possession, then the other person get a bit of the possession. A good 50-50 game, a good lashing over here, I think is what we are here to see.
But we have to be honest, Snare. We really don't mind the 10-4s and 10-3s as well. But do you think we'll be getting something like that today, or is it going to be a much tighter game?
I think given those play styles at play, I think it's going to be a much tighter game. Deevak does not take half chances. Moby did been tightening up his defense and doesn't give you anything but a half chance. So I don't think we'll see that many goals, but it's going to be very competitive.
Well, they're about to kick off, and I leave you, the viewers, in the very capable hands of Tendo and Snare to give you all the action that is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3's FIFA tournament.
Thank you, Dr. Sid, Tendo. We're in this one right now. Of course, the one who needs this win a lot more is Moby, but we saw yesterday what hunger to get to the top can do. Deevak, he's the one that's in that situation, so if we're going to see anybody who really chases the game, it's probably going to be him. And given what we've seen from him thus far, do you think he's good for the money if he pursues that strat?
Yeah, you know, I think he's good for the money, definitely. Coming into this one, he's got to be a little bit confident. I think you can't doubt Moby in any degree. I think Moby is really, really good in his gameplay, in his game plan. So it's really just how well can Deevak break down Moby in the situation, I think, is what we're really going to see.
You were saying earlier that you want to see these counterattacks and Moby going to oblige you. Starting the first one off, the pass to Kane. Kane slots it into the back of the net. Exactly what you wanted. He delivers. Moby, opening goal from a counterattack. Beautiful football from him here.
Yeah, very insane goal coming in. You gotta love that early goal. And I think now this is nice because it kind of opens the game up in a sense, you know what I'm talking about. I think in this situation, we're definitely favoring the likes of Deevak. So to see him down is really, really going to push him to play a little bit harder here so that he can level things up. And now on the attack here with Griezmann, who doesn't really find anything in that run. So he's gonna get this counter attack onto the opposite end now for Moby. Moby can work with this, does pass to Fernandez. What can he do in this middle pitch area? Actually gets closed down and loses the ball in possession.
Unfortunately, the ball gets back to Pele. You've seen what kind of damage Deevak can do with this player. Does not get anything going on because of the interception. So Moby, just as soon as he's dispossessed, he's back on possession. But seems like the ball is just getting bogged down here in midfield. But now João Felix gets a dribble past the final defender, gets past the keeper. But what a block. Okay, so it seems like it's acceptable to have 2 goalkeepers in the game. Aware, Moby, thanks for letting us know about the next rule change.
Oh, man, it's crazy because it comes first as like a dribble past the keeper. And I'm like, he's gone. Obviously, he's gone. He's passed. And then he takes the shot, it comes back in, and then there's a defender there ready to get that out. So that's really good on the side for Moby. Son on the ball, running it in. What can he find from this? Not much, actually, as it is a turnover now. And there's an opportunity for attack now for Deevak. Deevak needs to just wake up and find something in this game. I feel like he's not there yet. He's just passing around the ball, trying to make some plays. Some good plays so far, obviously, with that shot that we saw. But so far, I think Moby has got a game plan and he's playing to it.
Definitely, Moby seems like he's in greater control of this game. Whether or not he can use that control to complete the victory is another story. 1 goal, and as an advantage in FIFA, not really that much. We'll have to see if he can convert this to more. Needs to stop Pele here, who might be able to get himself into a pocket of space. Gets shut down by Moby. And like you said, Deevak struggling very much to break down Moby. Moby closes him in, gets the dispossession, and immediately is in on the run. Bruno Fernandes gets it onto Son, who's now running down the flank. Tons of space ahead of him. Can he draw this back, get his attacking players forward? He's trying. Slow this down right now. Make sure he doesn't make any mistakes. Kane gets it to De Jong. This might seem good for Deevak, but the pass gets through. It's not offside. Okay, it is.
I was about to say, hey, that one there looked a bit offside if it went in, but it didn't even end up finding anybody in that situation. So now Deevak's able to work from this and maybe get a good pass through ball in here from Moran onto Griezmann. Griezmann trying to find some space with these dribbles, but it's closed down quickly, and it's PK, a rock, a pillar, a stone. Honestly, I think so far in the Umzansi Esports League, whenever I see PK on one of the players, and it's definitely in the hands of Moby, who I've seen him in the most, where he's performing, and I think that's one of his key defenders, and you can see why.
Yeah, Moby has been playing a very unorthodox team, but he's stuck with it. Hasn't decided to make adjustments to try to fit in with the rest of the pack. Hasn't adopted Varane like everyone else, sticking with his PK, and PK looking strong. Will be needed again here to challenge João Felix. Good enough to force the ball back into midfield. Really struggling with this one. And he's not allowing him to even turn. There's no dribbles passed. Still trying with Pele, but nothing's happening here for Deevak. He's being patient though. I'm not going to rush this. Still in possession. Can he get this through? João Felix forced to get it back to Rakitic. And finally Pele in some space, but offside.
Yeah,
Man, Moby.
I saw that day. I saw how well the defense was set up for Moby and how great the line was. And the player there obviously just got a bit too excited. And obviously that made Deevak excited in that situation. And offside trap was played superbly from Moby. So we're into the 40th minute of this half. And so far it's all been... It's actually been interesting, I think, Snare. It hasn't really been an all Moby game because I think we've been seeing Deevak on the ball quite a lot. So I just think he's got control mentally of the game so far.
Absolutely. Especially in this underdog situation. You've been the one that's more effective with your attacks, as we see him now, trying to string some passes together. It kind of feels like Deevak has to be a lot more proactive in terms of the game, both on defense and offense, whereas Moby, like you mentioned, has mental control of the game. It's still up in the air. It's only one goal in it as Son tries to get past Lorente. Will he be able to do so? Passes it back to Messi, but Messi can find nothing. And Deevak, it sort of seems like he's getting there. Slowly but surely, he's finding some form, finding some kind of idea of how he wants to approach the game. But in these kind of situations in FIFA, if you didn't come ready to play immediately, you suffer the consequences. And we see that happen with that first goal. Thus far, he hasn't been punished too hard from there, despite some very good situations for Moby. Do you think that this is going to end up waking up Deevak, or will Moby be more motivated in the second half to further control the game?
It's interesting, honestly. I think Deevak, once he gets that stride and he wakes up, might be a bit of an unstoppable force for Moby to deal with. But I think if he continues his game plan that he's got down here, I think he can continue this lead. He just needs to find a second goal. I think, like you said, it's hard to be one up and feeling comfortable.
Substitution is on here for Deevak. Decided to bring on Mbapu. So we've seen that player have a lot of success here in the league. Not yet going to be converted for him. Still has some time that he has to chase back the ball as Moby playing very comfortably with these passes, threading them through. Jesus Navas creating this attacking formation. They're all running up together. Valverde in the box, dribbles past the keeper, but these offside traps this game. So frustrating for these attackers.
Very frustrating. And the ball goes out there, so it's a quick throw in here for Moby as he tries to find some options to work with. Manages to find a defender to play it from the back here. So it's on to De Jong to Fernandez and Kane to Son as Moby is trying to get some build-up play, but Deevak is doing good to close him down, but not good enough. Shaw's in a space here, but the space isn't utilized well as the ball's going to go out eventually.
Kind of feels like right now, Moby is still in that control of the game. I mean, we haven't really seen Deevak have any kind of real say on the ball just yet in the second half. But I think the big thing is Moby showing some degree of confidence. The fact that he feels able to slow down the game like this instead of reaching still for those counter-attacking plays. It shows confidence because he keeps closing down the ball if he does get dispossessed. So, still here in the final third. Kane looking for a run. Kane, can he get past this man? No, he cannot.
Feels bad indeed. Kane trying to make a run there, but it doesn't work too well for him. Oh, great through ball pass there coming in from Deevak, and he can explode off this situation. Pulls it back in quite nicely. There's a striker there. He takes the shot. The keeper doesn't even need to move from the spot. It's a short corner as well. So Deevak needs to work on this momentum, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. Trying to catch Moby while he's still sleeping. And no, they've done good to reset here. I think on the side of Moby, defense set up, everybody's ready to go, and there's that interception just to show how good it is.
Like you mentioned, the complete reset. I really thought Deevak was in on that one. In those situations, I've seen him score 99 times out of 100. This was the one time it goes directly into the keeper. Still trying his best. Still trying different looks. Change of pace for him at the very least. That he's been spending time attacking and not just soaking up the pressure on the defense. And the thing is, the more time you spend attacking, despite how good your opponent's defense might be, eventually a mistake can happen that you can try and exploit. So the longer he stays in this attack, Pele trying to get it to Goretzka, but Moby still so close down. You need a safe cracker to get through this, but João Felix is the safe cracker. Gets through, slots it into the back of the net. Oh my goodness. The defender had the ball, Tendo, but he doesn't care. Charges right onto him, steals it in, and steals a goal back.
Steals the ball back, indeed. And it's level picky. And Deevak is awake. He's awake now. He's feeling it out. Moby in that position again. We always find him in these positions where he just has to work so hard, you know. So now he's making an attack of his own. Kane gets closer out really quickly there. So there's not much he can really do in that situation as they have to run through. Turnover coming in. Deevak now on the ball.
It's a little bit scary. He's got Griezmann. All this pace. Looking to get past Jesus Navas, who spent a lot of time on the ball, so his energy levels at this stage of the game might be flagging. Still didn't do a good enough job of closing down Griezmann that Deevak could not break through. Stays 1-1. This is a situation that's somewhat acceptable for Deevak. Even a draw will be enough to put him into second place in the league, but he doesn't want a draw. He wants to challenge Julio at the top. But Moby just wants to make sure he's clear of the bottom. A win will help. A draw might just be enough. And he needs to defend this attack, but he's doing a good job of closing down Deevak. But Deevak's also being so patient. There's the goal scorer. It gets it to Pele. Pele with the shot, but it gets blocked for the corner kick. I thought that was offside, but it's so close.
Yeah, it was very close. Honestly, it looked. I said it looked. He was just like just behind the defender, so it almost looked like he was onside when the ball came through there, but yeah, unfortunately no. And 78 minutes onto the board right now, sitting still at 1-1. I think Deevak needs to change a little bit of his play style here, because as much as he got that goal, I think Moby is still really in a bit of the game management in a sense, so he's not able to really explode and do anything. Corner goes crazy, but not really able to capitalize and find anything from it.
Listen, Tendo, I hear you, right? I hear you, but how many times? Pretty much every game it feels like that we've seen Deevak in. How many times in leg one has it been 1-1, 2-2, or him actually behind until 85 minutes, and then some random bit of madness happens and suddenly he's on top? I'm just saying, until we hear that final whistle, Moby will not rest. He needs another goal. He's trying for it, but Kane can't get through. And now suddenly, if he can get the counter-attack here, he would be on, and Moby realizes that he'd rather draw the foul than allow the run to go unchallenged.
Foul is drawn. Free kicks taken. Deevak trying to work on this. These dying embers, as you just mentioned, where he can just pop up something crazy. He's getting close out quite well. Attacker hasn't been able to reset his run just yet after making that pass, so he's going to look for the center of the pitch, and it's a haywire ball out to nobody but the defense there.
Moby will be glad of this gift. Let's see if he can do something with it. De Jong does get a very nice dribble on. Kane has a lot of options here for the passes. Finds Angelino on the wing. Will he be able to get the ball into the middle of the box? Players are coming in. De Jong gets it into Valverde. Jesus Navas open in space on the side of the box. Chips it in towards Messi. Messi gets the goal. Messi gets the potential win for Moby. 89 minutes. Moby might just have broken into the top four with this goal.
What a spectacular, honestly. You love those kind of goals. And that's the kind of goals you rattle your opponent with. Like, there's nothing I can do about that, you know. And, oh, is he going to keep attacking while the defense is shaky, you know? They're going to go to off. I mean, they're going to end the game off, and it's going to end 2-1. You know, Snare, I think you jinxed it. You know what you said? You're like, hey, Deevak pulls it out at the end. And now look.
Okay. In my defense, right? In my defense. Well, the actual pattern wasn't that Deevak scores at the last minute. It's that Deevak is involved in games where a goal happens in the last minute. So it's okay. It's still fine.
Sounds like cap at this point, but you know what? Good game coming in from there. And I think I'm happy to go into the second leg with Moby in the lead, because we definitely know once Deevak steps up, he's definitely going to step up, and he can probably, you know, make a winner out of this matchup. So Moby needs this lead right now, and he needs to just take a deep breath.
Yeah, I mean, a massive deep breath, right? Because if he can stay composed and keep playing the game the way he was, despite the fact that Deevak is always threatening on the ball, he was really contained very, very well by Moby. that one goal that happened, I mean, who can stop that goal? Come on, what are you supposed to do? Is Felix stealing the ball in the final third with nobody behind to defend? It is what it is. But besides that one moment, really a lot of control came from Mobi. So if he can keep that going, he might be good for the victory. And Deevak, we mentioned that he needs to try something different. We have seen that he's one of the players that is able to adapt the most. Haven't seen it here today just yet, but you know, part of him might have been thinking that he's the top dog against Mobi, but maybe suffering that loss will give him the motivation to play at the maximum level to get into the top 2 slot.
Yeah, definitely. And it's maybe a thorn in the foot situation, and maybe Mobi is just going to be a thorn in the foot of Deevak. You know, it happens with some of these underdog matchups where all of a sudden the underdog does what the underdog is meant to do, and they end up winning the game. And then you as a top dog just have to ask yourself, where did we go wrong? You know, and you just have to get your match summary and just get your game plan in order for the next time you go up against, you know, your opponent. So I'm gonna be interested to see how the second leg goes.
And as you call it, it begins. Leg 2, Deevak versus Mobizilla. Victory for Deevak means top 2. Victory for Mobi means top 4. Everything to play for. A draw, nobody wants a draw. We're not even going to discuss that option. As Kane right now for Mobi, he's in. He was able to get a very early goal last time around, Tendo. If he gets one again here, it'll be do wonders for his confidence, for his momentum. But Deevak so far has been good on the defense.
Good so far. Attack not being too bad as well. As here he is trying to make it. Sure on the ball. Oh, sure doesn't find that pass. Defense was just in the right place at the right time to intercept the ball, and now we can get a bit of a build-up play from Deevak from the back, and maybe, just maybe, we get another early goal. Oh, have I called it here? That's a beautiful ball, honestly, right there to Griezmann from Deevak. What? I don't even know how he keeps it in, how he gets it back. He's gonna have to pull it back in because there's not really any space for him to work with. So he has a spot to maybe take a shot here, Deevak. What can he do? Passes it back to Griezmann. Griezmann trying to find anybody and anything that can shoot right now.
What a stop.
Oh, what a stop indeed, honestly.
That was going to be one of the most magical goals given the events leading up to it. So many good things happened for Deevak, from that incredible through ball, to being able to dribble with Felix, keeping possession despite being surrounded by 2 defenders. Still has a chance here though. Earned himself a throw in, and now in the box, Felix, the goal scorer from earlier, he's in on space, tries to get a shot off. But PK, the solid wall, deployed yet again, prevents anything from going through. Man, Deevak, PK with the blocks. Previously when he was in on goal open, but the ball didn't go through. The saves from Edison. Frustration is done 100% starting to set in right now.
Yeah, you gotta feel the frustration. These kind of situations, you can just see by the amount of attacking that Deevak is doing. He knows that if he doesn't get this goal in, it's going to be tough. I think Mobi can keep it at a draw for the most part. And yeah, we'll just have to see how well his defense can handle all this pressure that he's getting. But so far, so good, as they're actually closing down space quite well. So it's actually forcing Deevak to play more in the middle of the pitch and not towards, you know, that other third.
Deevak still in possession. Gets it to Rakete to find Felix after Pele gets the pass to him. Unfortunately, immediately dispossessed. And this is where Mobi's at his best. Davies for Deevak prevents a potential goal. He knew full well that if he allowed the run on space for Kane, dangerous things were going to happen. Gets to slow the game down from this point. I actually kind of love that Mobi has this Man U crest. You know, he's actually kind of playing like Man U, grinding out the game. No, don't have to be excited. You just have to get the victory. But this pass is very exciting. He finds Luke Shaw, gets it back to Kane. The shot, a little bit off angle.
That's interesting.
I think the pass, I don't think it actually was supposed to go to Kane. I think either the direction was a bit off or the power was a bit too much. And as a result, it messes up the passage of play there. Very sad for Mobi.
Very sad indeed, honestly. Pele on the ball can be a dangerous prospect with it, as Deevak with Dembele is trying to make a run here onto the box. Pele in a position to maybe take a shot, but the defense closes things down Just in time. We can all take a breath there for Moby. Oh no, he's giving away the ball. So what's going to happen now? As Deevak's going to make plays, but the plays are cut off. And he's got to really clean up his back line right now. I think Moby, he can't let this one slip away through his fingers. Look at that.
Yeah.
He's just giving passes away at this point, I think. So it's going to be really tough, especially once Deevak actually can get something past the keeper.
I think the desperate situation of the game, and it's pretty clear that Deevak is playing like it's a desperate situation, is starting to infect Moby a little bit. He's losing some of the composure we've seen thus far. If he stays sharp, victory is in grasp. But at any given moment, Deevak, known for slipping goals in, Moby, we'll see what he can do with this attack. Gets the ball to Son. What a challenge on the pass. Sadly, Deevak, it seems like neither player is able to thread through from defense to offense effectively just yet. For some reason, gets bogged down in midfield. And Valverde, as soon as I say that, is dispossessed by Davies. My bad, buddy.
And that ball is big to open up some space for Deevak, but the defense is run back fast enough. Griezmann, Pele tries to make a turn, but it's closed down. That would have been big. Oh no, Griezmann gets the ball back. They're in the box. They can be dangerous in this position now. But no, it's cleared. But it's cleared forward again. Back, they're turning over, and this one is just insane, honestly. Deevak has the ball, then Moby has the ball. And there's attack here and attack there. And is this the attack that gets him the goal?
Oh my god.
It is. Espellis there to take the strike. And pull it up to 2-2 on aggregate.
Oh my goodness. 2-2. What a scramble. Things were just going all over the show. It was pinball rather than football, but it goes in Deevak's favor. He gets the goal. Moby will feel so hard done by. He tried to get rid of that ball so many times, but it just kept coming back like there was a magnet in the back of the net. Oh man, now Deevak must feel really good. Attacking immediately on after scoring this goal. Will he find his target? Moby doesn't want to risk the same situation, so needs to be very aggressive on the defensive challenges and as well as on the counter attacks. He might find one here. Kane. Referee?
I was also thinking to myself, ref, what's happening?
Referee? Okay.
The man just goes down tumbling, a tower even, right? Kane, because he's so tall, just comes tumbling and they do nothing about it. I mean, look at the possession and how close it is as well. It feels like Deevak's more in control of this game, but like I said, when I was watching it, just felt like there was just like a back and forth between Moby and then Deevak, and then Moby and then Deevak. And then eventually, like, it went Moby, Deevak, score, you know? And then that's exactly what happens.
That's the kind of goal that we need to see the replays of. Definitely needs to be clipped. And now, what we need more of is more of that. More goals, need more hype. We need to get more of this. The 2-1 from the first leg has been counteracted by this one goal scored right now by Deevak. So it's not like he's in the clear. He knows that if he concedes another one, he's right back where he started. So he needs to score another one to be secure himself, which always makes him the most exciting FIFA. Son gets the ball to Kane. Luke Shaw trying to string together a couple of passes here. I love the fact that from the jump, neither of these players, in this particular leg at least, are waiting to feed each other out, just attacking and pressing immediately as they get the ball.
Yeah, definitely. It's really exciting, actually, when watching this, how back and forth it is with attack. Griezmann finds Pele. There's so much closing down in the middle field that's happening. Yeah, a lot of the defending actually is happening in the middle of the game, as somehow the ball is still in possession here of Deevak. Looked like he might have lost that one. Oh, that chip pass is so good. Can he work from this? João Felix now stumbles the ball, but he gets it back. There's a pass on here. God. Can Cancelo find something? Cancelo can't find the pass. It's just the defender, and they gotta clear it. And they do clear it. He can breathe just a little bit, only for now.
Oh my goodness. And he's still at risk of having himself dispossessed. He can't breathe, Tendo. The attack immediately back on. Dembele's in a little bit of space. Pele choosing to rather pass it short to Griezmann. João Felix trying to find his options. Will unleash Cancelo with the pass. On the edge of the box, who finds Dembele. Can he find this turn past the defenders? He's past one, but cannot get past the second. De Jong tracks back from midfield, but the ball, somehow Deevak will not let this go. He will score this goal, or at least get a shot off, but the shot just goes straight to Edison.
You shall not pass is the name of the game right now for Mobi. It's 2-2 still, so nothing's lost just yet. He just needs one goal to bring this one back. Griezmann. Oh, the ball, Deevak. Beautiful. Cancelo finds it back to Dembele. Dembele to Griezmann. Can they make something work from this? But the defense is just closing them down so well. It's Mobi. Son has the ball, but they lose it. They squander it. It's a turnover again, Scincerity.
How does this keep happening? No matter what happens, the ball keeps getting recycled into these attacking positions. Deevak back into it. Felix looking for the shot, but that one, yeah, that one's gonna go wide.
Imagine that one went in, though.
Then we have to figure out who's bribing the FIFA engine. Like, what's happening here?
Hey man, I've seen them hit it, you know, and it's sometimes, especially like with the way the game is going right now, and it's just like this back and forth, and you're not really getting chances to shoot. You have to take every shot that you can get, and I guess that's just one of those situations that Deevak was in.
But this is kind of interesting to bring that up, because when Dr. Sid was asking us just before the game if we expected a real blowout, I sort of expected this situation of not that many goals. Deevak, we've seen in this game, he doesn't take those half chances. The few times that he has, it hasn't really gone well for him, and must be a frustrating experience for a player of his caliber. In the meantime, Mobi doesn't find himself often in on goal, and when he does, not always in the best situation to shoot, but now he needs to get this goal. What a touch! Ter Stegen, literally, with one hand, carries the team, keeps them in the game. What a player.
For how long is the question? The attack was on, but the defense is good to get the ball back. So now Deevak needs something to pull away from this one. Felix is able to get the ball onto Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum waiting for Rania. Run does come in, and there's a pass potentially. Oh, great cutback coming in, and it's there.
What?
It's the defender. It's PK.
It's your boy PK.
Again.
It's your boy PK.
He's there like a rock, man. He's always there for Mobi when he needs him.
Gerard PK, there for you when you need him. Any of you at any given point, if you're going through a breakup, call PK. He's got your back. We'll keep things clear for you. Still stays 2-2 on aggregate, and unfortunately for Mobi, though, still has to deal with a corner kick. It wasn't a clearance that'll be comfortable for him. So we've seen goals from corners. Deevak will have options as to how he wants to handle this one. Brought on Alexis Sanchez, trying to get some additional pace. Griezmann was getting tired at this point in the game. And it looks like, and the changes also came in from the side of Mobi. And all defensive changes. He even takes off Harry Kane to bring on Angelino instead. He's like, you know what? If this game is going to end, it's going to end on my terms. But now Bamba on the other side of a pass. Mobi getting the opportunity, but Mobi can't get the goal. Ter Stegen again, the hero for Deevak's team, and it keeps him in the game.
Oh man, that pass as well to find so much space for Bamba. It's just unfortunate that he can't convert in that situation. Pele pulls away in such a crazy way. Can he get a shot on? He doesn't, but the ball is still in possession of Deevak here. The pressure's on for Mobi. He needs to defend that, which he does. He needs to get a goal in here, Mobi. He needs to get this pressure off because Deevak wants to win this game. Deevak is just coming at him with everything that he's got, and he's got some good space here. Onto Navas. Navas with the pass! Oh, that went a little bit higher. It floated a little bit more. That could have found the player on the opposite end there.
Unfortunately, it does not. So now we're in that very scary part of the game. The final 5 minutes. He found a victory in the first leg in this time. Mobi looking to replicate his success. Earns himself a throw-in. So he might just have that final say. And he gets another one. Okay. Still in position. Deevak, you're not going to be happy about a draw, but it's better than losing. But he wants to win, like you said. Not comfortable with just a draw. Felix trying to get the run. Felix with the shot. But Edison once again with the save.
Yeah, it looked like that shot was going to go in, and that was going to be the end of the game with Deevak winning it. But Mobi, maybe this is his chance. Maybe he can make something big, and the through ball is on. Bumper's on for the run here. The keeper comes off the line, but not fast enough. And Mobi snatches it at the end here.
What? Lightning struck twice, Tendo, in the same spot at the same time. It happened again in the same way. And Mobizilla gets the victory over Deevak and puts himself not just into the top 4, but puts himself out of the category of underdog. He's just a dog now. He's out here. Mobizilla's back.
Jeez, man.
What a
You gotta love that. You gotta love that. And as soon as Bamba came in, the passes, man, you could see he wanted that. He knew he could get those passes, those runs in, and that's exactly what happened. So you gotta love that coming in from Mobi.
Yo, guys, I'm telling you, listen, yeah, the excitement at the end, it was literally, I could taste it. I literally could taste the tension in both of your voices. Like, Mobizilla coming and snatching that, and I would never have predicted that. Never in my wildest dreams predicted that Mobi will come out and take that. Mobizilla snatching it at the end, 3-2, and putting those points on the board that were absolutely necessary. I can't even believe, like, this is just awesome. So what I want to know, what does the table look like right now? That's where my mind is at. We want to take a look at the table and see what Mobizilla has just done. He has pushed himself into 4th position. That is just amazing. This is exactly what we needed to put pressure on the guys in the top 3 and sort of give himself some distance and give the guys like Unfazed and Young Savage work to do. Oh my God. You know, I just have to ask Tendo, for you, I already have an idea, but what was your highlight in the last game?
Man, I hate to say it's that final goal, but it really was that final goal because I saw it cooking for a while. I saw that change that, Mobi made pulling in Bamba, and that first attempt that he had with Bamba, I was like, wow, he's looking to just lob the ball over or find some space and just let this man run it down past the defenders. And that's exactly what happened. So I think he was able to capitalize off that quite nicely.
Capitalization is something that is very necessary in this league. If you want to be able to put on the points, you have to take your chances. I know we weren't expecting a blowout in terms of the goals. This was really, really close, Snare. And are you happy for Mobizilla? I mean, honestly, how do you feel for Mobizilla right now?
I'm really happy for Mobi because early on in film season 1, he's been one of the more consistent but somewhat underrated, finishing 5th, 6th every single time that he's putting an outing. And coming into this season, he hasn't necessarily retained his earlier sharpness that we've seen from him, and it was a bit disappointing not seeing him rise to the same level as his colleagues here, or his contemporaries, his competition. So I'm really happy to see him come back like this, right? To be in a situation where he goes against Deevak, who's been looking deadly, and not only does he not falter, he stays competitive, he stays fighting until the last minute, till the last second. Some of the earlier nerves we've been seeing from him weren't really present today. He's, in fact, the one that came to chase the game from the very beginning. So I'm ecstatic for Mobizilla because it means we're going to have even tougher competition, even closer games leading up to the playoffs.
Well, that's what's up, and that's all that we expect when we look at the Umzansi Esports League. Close competitions, tight games, everybody fighting for that amazing prize pool. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I have to say a big thank you to Snare and Thendo for holding it down for us in the FIFA segment. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will be live with the PUBG Mobile segment. You don't want to go anywhere. Get your popcorn, relax your seats, get into your recliners, get your duvets, get your headsets, whatever you need to do, because there is more action in the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, which of course is brought to you by Nordwind Gaming. My name is Dr. Sid, here with Tendo and Snare, and I will see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, brought to you by Nodwing Gaming. We are live with the PUBG Mobile segment. My name is Dr. Sid, and I'm here with my two best buddies when it comes to PUBG Mobile, DK and Patchy. When these guys are around, you know you are getting all the action plus all the analysis and the analytics wrapped into a beautiful package of excitement and action. Ladies and gentlemen, what's popping, guys? How are you doing? Missed you guys yesterday, missed you again today, but we're all together and it's time to have a party. Whew! That was a mouthful. Now let's get to the action. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick look at the prize pool for today, for the whole tournament, technically.
Yeah.
Which is a whopping $17,500, and $2,500 goes FIFA 21, and $15,000 stays right here in the PUBG Mobile tournament. Let's take an updated look at the leaderboard and what it looks like right now before we find out the teams that are going to be playing. Patchy, talk us through what we're looking at.
Well, what we're looking at is Undisputed AE sitting at number 1 with a pretty decent lead. I think it's almost like 30 points above the nearest challenger so far, which of course this game is United Nations. 141 points is what Undisputed AE is sitting at, and obviously Gun 113, as you can see there. So, I mean, they have a pretty decent lead, and they've been maintaining it very, very well. I've been keeping an eye on them to see if they would actually, bring us some more points and maybe extend that lead a little bit further. And that certainly seems like it could be possible because we haven't really had the performances that we expect from some of the other teams. Now, of course, Influence Rage coming in at 3rd place hasn't reached that 100-point mark just yet. So there is quite a large, considerable gap between the top 2 teams and then the rest of the first page here. Of course, as we head down there, NFxUnique coming in for Scincerity, following on, and a couple of teams there towards the back. But the teams that are pinned here on the second page also not really managing to find perhaps the spots they were looking for. I mean, for teams like Ultra 6, Fear, Euphoric Gods, and Lag, definitely they're quite happy with where they're sitting at the moment. In fact, obviously in the top 16 is where you want to be, generally speaking. But I mean, to see G3 Temper sitting down 4th spot is 14th, sorry, is not exactly what we expect from them. They haven't really had that revitalization that we were expecting yesterday, especially with the addition of one of the members that they were lacking, because they were playing with a little bit of a reconfigured group in the previous weeks. And then, of course, getting Flacker back on the team didn't really provide them that revitalization to shoot back up to the top right of the first page. Of course, speaking of pages, heading into the next page here, we've got the last few teams coming down to team number 24. And yeah, these teams, they're obviously in a little bit of a spot. As the round progresses, they're definitely going to want to put some more points on that board and try and boost themselves just up to get out of this page. Otherwise, we might just be seeing a couple of these teams say goodbye, which is definitely not what we expected, especially since Natural Killers and Slime 4KT are both teams that we expected to at least be, top 16. In any case, speaking of top 16, we're going to have a look at the point structure for the games here. Of course, if you don't remember what that is, then this is exactly what we're looking for. First position is going to get you that 15 points. So that is, of course, the chicken dinner right there. Second position is going to get you 12, and third position will get you 10 points. So those are all the double digits that you got. That's first, second, and third place. And then, of course, 8 points for fourth place, 6 points for fifth place, 4 for sixth place, 2 for seventh, 1 between 8 and 12. And then, of course, you get no points for going back between 13 and 16. And then, of course, it is 1 kill, 1 point, which means that you're definitely going to want to put some serious points in, some damage in. And, speaking of damage, we've got our top damage dealers, our top participants here, our kill leaders. That, of course, is the top 4 kill leaders here. And you can see they are putting those numbers in big time.
Yes, we can see these are the guys that are going ham and making sure that they deliver the kills, because those kill points, like as Patchy has just mentioned, are very, very important when it comes to bringing in scores. Now, DK, these are the squads we're playing today. Could you talk us through who we're looking at and what we should be expecting from these teams?
Yeah, of course, as we can see, we have a side there of G3 Temper, Undisputed AE, Scincerity Esports, Influence Rage Africa, the Drogons, the Comfy Cartel, BBC, and Young Thunder. So already, this Group B, they were playing yesterday, so we're expecting to see a continuation of their efforts coming in from what we've had yesterday. Of course, as we saw on that overall leaderboard, the side there of Undisputed AE holding on to that pole spot. But this, of course, where we're also waiting to see what is going to be coming in from the side of, for instance, Scincerity, G3, and even potentially the Influence Rage Africa squad, because we've seen some pretty strong performances from them in past matches, but now, yesterday, things weren't exactly running according to plan. But also now looking over to Group C, we see the side there, of course, Zero Tolerance Skills. We got Slime 4KT, we got Lag Esports, Aphelion Apex, Black Clover, Pain Africa, Rain from Hell, as well as the Euphoric Gods. So expecting also to see the side there from Pain Africa to step it up. If we look at how the teams have faced off against each other in patches, Pain Africa has brought in a chicken dinner, Zero Tolerance Skills has brought in the chicken dinner, as well as Undisputed AE. So I'm going to be looking to see whether or not these teams will bring through the momentum that they've brought in on towards that first week, and whether or not they'll be able to continue with that role as they move into today's games.
Well, we hope so, because like we've noticed, there is a lot of movement in the table with teams that were technically a lot slower in the previous round, understanding that they need to put up those points early and get that gap already in the early stages of the table. So, I mean, obviously with teams like Slime 4KT, who we know for a fact over time are usually high contenders of the game, they really have to start putting in the effort to get themselves up that table and showcase the talent that they have. You know, I always say this every time, that I'm super excited about the fact that Umzansi Esports League puts together a tournament like this, because we get to see the best of the best coming out of the African talent, and I think it's very important for us to showcase the African talent to the rest of the world. Now, for everybody watching at home, or you just literally stumbled on the channel right now, this is the Umzansi Esports League, Season 3, brought to you by Northern Gamings. Right now, we are about to go into a PUBG mobile game on our first map, which is Erangel. And we've seen some teams show some amazing talent and skills on this particular map. I'm hoping that we see another surprise victory, maybe from Young Thundercats. If you haven't watched PUBG Mobile before, you need to stick with your channel or your TV set or your app, whatever you're doing right now. You are about to witness some exciting gameplay from some of the best players on the African continent. I'm going to ask Patchy and then DK, who are you rooting for in this first map?
All right. Well, I think that the first thing that we really have to start taking into consideration is that we don't really necessarily know exactly who is going to put in the performance, because we've been showed both sides of the coin at this point. We've seen teams like Gun and G3 just absolutely dominate. I think towards the end of the last round, we saw G3 like making a sprint towards the top. Everyone was trying to get to that top spot. There was a huge contest, a huge battle, and we saw some really impressive performances coming out of the teams. And likewise, we've also now seen the teams also have those days where they just don't seem to be bringing that same standard that we expect out of them. Yesterday was one of those days, and unfortunately now we're getting into the position where it's a case of, when do we expect the teams to start putting in that performance? Because as you mentioned, they kind of need to start doing it now. It sort of needs to start happening yesterday already. So there's a little bit of urgency to the situation. And I think if there's a team that I'm waiting to turn on, it's definitely G3, because they're sitting way lower than we expect for them. But in the same vein, Gun are definitely a team that I'm keeping my eye on, because they are currently quite high on that leaderboard.
Okay, well, we expect, and we hope we don't get the unexpected. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, the PUBG Mobile segment. The first map of today is just about to start. Players are flying out of the planes, and I will leave you in the very capable hands of DK and Patchy to talk you through all the action, and I'll see you after the match.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Sid. And of course, it is heading into map number 1 of today's games for the evening. Of course, there are 3 games today, this being the first one. It is Erangel. We will be seeing Sandhawk coming in second, and of course, Miramar coming in third. If you check the schedule there, which does show up during the break and flash on the screen every now and then. You can check up on that and check on the times and whatnot. But of course, here we are. It's a wrangle. It's a very interesting flight path as well, giving a very limited access. I mean, the entire northern portion of that map looking very empty at the moment. So maybe we'll see a little bit of movement in that direction as the teams start to move out onto the map, get themselves down there. That zone is, of course, going to be landing off to the west, which we haven't had yesterday, so this will be an interesting one, especially considering we've got our fabled mountain right in the mix as well, so there's a pretty good chance that that ends up being in towards the end game, so that's interesting. But DK, since we never got to the topic, what are you looking out for here today?
Well, first off, I want to start by saying, Patchy, if you're going to be looking to see Guns' performance today, you're going to be waiting quite a time for that.
Oh well, yes,
you'll only
of
be
course.
seeing them back again tomorrow. But I like where your mind's at. Right? Let's go with that one. I like where your mind's at. Looking to see that consistent performance come in. So a team that I'm looking to see, or teams I'm looking to see step it up today would of course be the side of G3 as well, but also going to be looking closely at the side of Scincerity as well as Pain. Waiting to see what Pain will bring. We did see a pretty strong performance from them coming in on that first week when they had their first round of bashes, but of course I'm looking to see whether or not they'll be able to bring in that effort, bring in that momentum once again, because they did start off the day, the first match, on an absolute banger, bringing in that chicken dinner alongside 11 kills. But things got a little bit tougher as they progressed into the second and third one. So we're going to be looking to see whether or not they'll be able to kick it off today on a strong note, or maybe we'll see Scincerity also looking to step it up.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I mean, just to follow up in terms of what we're looking at here, I said earlier that we haven't seen a lot of these teams switch or flick that switch that we saw previously in the previous round, and some of the teams that we're seeing now starting to take wins have definitely sort of capitalized on that. If there's no movement coming out of the heavy hitting teams that we generally expect, it gives a lot more movement or freedom of movement to a lot of these other teams, and they're certainly seriously making moves off of the back of that, and capitalizing off the fact that they do have that extra movement space and ability to do stuff. And it's kind of nice to see some of the teams that we don't often see at the top. It's kind of nice to see them there. It's nice to talk about them a little bit and see them in the mix. But the question is that going to be the status quo moving forward? Is that something that we're going to see being the norm, or are we going to see somebody start to take a more consistent lead? Because obviously we were looking at the overall leaderboard there. We have teams like Undisputed AE sitting at the top, and I mean, yeah, that is that they have quite a considerable lead. It's quite large. I think they're almost at 150, sitting at like 140 points, which is quite crazy considering the majority of that first page. They're not very close to that 100-point mark just yet. They still got at least one chicken dinner or so away from hitting that target. So there's quite a large distance between that, and now we just have to wait and see if any of the other teams are going to be able to start covering the distance. Otherwise, maybe we're not going to see anyone take that lead away from them.
Yeah, I mean, UAE is starting to look a little bit of the G3 of old. The performance we've seen coming in from G3 in previous seasons, that is kind of what we're getting on the side here of UAE. So good to see teams stepping up and, claiming the titles, coming in with that aggressive kind of mindset, bringing in that next level play. But this is where it gets interesting. Of course, we're looking to see whether or not G3 will be able to step back up and reclaim their title as the aggressor. But I've got to say, though, Gun has been bringing it consistently, right? Yes, they are not playing in today's games, but we did mention them earlier, and they've been absolutely consistent and so amazing with their gameplay up to this point. of course, expecting that continuation to come in from them. But now, as we look onto the side here of Lag Esports, they're currently sitting down over in towards 12th position. The next slot up from them is only 7 points away. So there is that possibility for them to already increase their standings on the overall leaderboard, especially if they started off with running into Rain from Hell, just as we can see right here. But it has been a bit of a oof, a bit of a oops right there for them, as of course we have the shots there from Argus flying straight on through, and unfortunately for them, they came up empty-handed in that first engagement. So what a way to start it off, you know, finishing it off in a pretty interesting way. But now the rest of Lag, as you can see, of course, now Fantasy and Saf just dropping down, trying to stay hidden as long as they possibly can. And of course, G3 already starting up with those rotations. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see where the teams are going to move. As you've mentioned, of course, we also have Everest smack dab center zone. So that is a really advantageous position for the teams to take, as I suspect Everest would be in the zone for at least the next potential 2 or 3 phases. So they can really capitalize on that positioning. And if they are able to find themselves up there, I mean, you know, they can see for days and days and, you know, just start picking off teams. But now, as we move over in towards chopsticks, you can of course see the players here from Cartel. They've taken quite a bit of damage, looking to rotate up in towards that far western side. So definitely expecting a few interesting engagements to come on through as the teams are looking to find their positions and set themselves up.
Yeah, listen, I'm still sitting back and rubbing my chin as to the very strange engagement from the 2 players from Lag in that vehicle. They rolled up on one guy from Rain from Hell. One jumps out, the other one just sits in the car like, yeah, this is fine. You know, whatever, this is fine. Then Rain from Hell just kills the one guy, knocks him, and then gets a free knock onto the other guy who's like, oh, damn, my friend didn't get the kill. Now I'm sort of screwed. That was a bit of an interesting moment there. They just sort of... did they even have guns there? I'm not even sure what was going on, because they were sort of just,
No, they were experiencing some lag.
Yeah.
They were experiencing some lag, hence the name.
Hence the
you
name,
know, so
yeah.
it all makes
sense.
perfect sense. But now, a team that's not experiencing lag, of course, is the side here of G3. As you can see now, they are just starting to put the shots on through. Now, Argus getting a little bit of call it karma for, you know, his past aggressions there, and of course down it goes Argus. Madara now the next one to come under fire as G3 ascends down upon them, finding their hits and of course reducing the side of Rain from Hell down to... It's going to be interesting to see, you know, G3 has already tasted blood, but will they be able to pick it up and continue pushing on through?
Well, I mean, that is the kind of vulture-like play that we generally expect from G3 that was sort of lacking yesterday. So it's good to see them on the hunt once again. Of course, here on the screen, you've got Pain Africa looking to put some of those hits of their own in. And this is actually a team that you mentioned, DK, earlier, if I recall correctly, that you were talking about. So let's see, you know, if they can maybe make something happen. The Young Thundercats have been very much a hit or a miss team. We've seen them do some crazy stuff, and we've also seen them getting hammered pretty badly as well. So yeah, we'll have to look and see if today is a hit day or a miss day. For the time being, of course, the rotations are coming through. And, well, you can see the teams just streaked across the map there, making their rotations in a very hard western zone over there, just like just zooming all the way to the other side. So
it's a BBC zone.
This
is a BBC zone heading straight up into the drink. I mean, that is what we would expect to see. But now it's going to be interesting to see, of course, what the side there of Apex is going to be doing. We see them position smack dab center zone, and of course the side there of the Black Clovers also now looking to push in on towards that western front. But the Euphoric Gods, as we can see, also now just down to the south, and it is going to start heating up over in towards Georgia Pool as the teams are all now starting to converge down into that more centralized position. Of course, already having a pretty significantly reduced playable area, it is definitely going to be interesting to see where the teams choose to take up occupation. And of course, BBC Nihal crashing the McLaren into a few rocks. Fortunately, it is fairly indestructible, at least on PUBG. You know, again, near life circumstances. It's not real life. It's just very close.
Yeah, so
not 100% on point.
The bottom line is, don't drive your McLaren into rocks in real life. Only in PUBG.
Yeah, maybe not on grass, especially.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, but especially not rocks as well.
yes, unless unless it is PUBG, like we just saw, you know, it doesn't get any dinks into it. But now, as Apex is getting ready to potentially take this engagement, it's going to be an interesting one because they are nicely grouped up in the building. They've got quite a few of those angles covered. But if you look over onto the side of Black Clover, they are just spread out in a perfect line. So if it comes to angles, I think Black Clover might have the upper hand here.
It could certainly be possible, but we have to just wait and see, of course. Got Aphelion Apex here, who do have a slightly higher ground, but as you mentioned, maybe that's not going to be the most advantageous for them at the moment. We'll see if Black Clover can leverage their position here and maybe get some of those picks. But they are Undisputed, or sorry, Aphelion Apex are actually distributed across the compound there quite well. So they're not clustered up. They're not liable to get rushed anytime soon. It is pretty much going to be a standoff here for the teams. Of course, Black Clover do have to worry about Rain from Hell on the back as well, but they don't seem to be pushing too far either. So at least for the time being, they are safe. Got some shots coming in towards the comfy Cartel. So they are taking a little bit of an engagement. These teams quite backed up against the coastline here, which is going to prove to be at least quite useful for teams like Rain from Hell, because that means they mostly don't have to watch their backs, because of course, unless you're BBC, then you're probably not rotating around in a boat all the way on the coastline. So you generally don't have to worry about that area, although you can never be too sure about it. It's at least minimizing the potential to get taken in from behind. So yeah, we've got a bit of a stalemate here between these three teams on the coastline. The rest of the teams, of course, getting themselves into some cover. You can see the wide open fields stretching before the players here from, I think this is Euphoric Gods, as they make their way across those winding countryside hills. Very nice.
Yeah, and of course they can taste that salty breeze coming in from the coast. But now we see more and more teams starting to converge down on towards this western front. Young Thunder might be in for quite a bit of a challenge here, looking to find that position to try and squeeze themselves on into. But of course, there's not many hard cover positions left on the coastline, as you can see. Already quite a bit of it being occupied by the teams currently situated right here. But now, looking onto the eastern side of that zone, things are definitely going to start heating up as we have that big convergence now starting to come on through. And of course, even the northern portion of the zone up in towards South Jaws, right at the bridge, it is also looking pretty hot and heated. But now Euphoric Guns looking to hold on, looking to make that stand. And we can see the side there of Zero Tolerance also now just coming in with their rotation, heading a little bit further down on towards the south. But here we go now. The Feeder and Apex coming in, the Drogons right up ahead. Everyone just dancing around out in the open field. And of course, there's so many players situated in the surrounding buildings that it is almost a free-for-all. They can just sit there, patiently look on, and just step away.
Yeah, feeling Apex in such a tough position here. They tried to rotate out as the Drogons moved on in, but that is just not going to happen because Black Clover absolutely watching your every move. And now they are stuck between a couple of different angles that they have to worry about, including some potential third parties off in the distance. As you can see, some players stacked on top of the hill. And oh man, look at the absolute cluster going on here, because of the fact of this zone being so far west that, of course, like almost half of it includes just the ocean, which, of course, you can't use as cover, which is a problem. So all these teams stacked up against the coastline here, just barely squeezing in. And we know that this can't last for very much longer because, of course, that blue zone is closing up as well, and it's about to shift once again. And when it does, we always have to ask the question, is it going to shift further towards the ocean, further towards the coastline? G3 putting those shots in there towards Lagburen, just absolutely hammering away with that trigger, doing some serious work there. G3, as we know they can do on those long-range shots towards BBC as well, as they move off in the distance there. You can see G3 just barely on the perimeter of that zone in the safe area there, so they should be all right for the time being. You can see Scincerity still putting up a defense here in this house, a pretty good spot for them actually. BBC now pushing up in towards the hillock, and finally we do see that rotation through, and it doesn't go towards the coast, which is good news for most of the teams here. But of course, as you can see, it is going to be a huge problem when it comes to spacing. These teams are going to have to get up into that zone and make sure they have a safe spot. And of course, there's going to be a lot of fighting to make that happen. So we'll just have to have a look at CG3 looking to find a time to push up on towards BBC. They're waiting for the right moment to strike, pushing over the hill. BBC just clambering away there to get themselves in position for what could be a potential push coming out of G3, who are definitely looking for a fight. But are they going to be able to pull the trigger? Some nades coming in from Lord to try and send them away. But G3, they're looking for the fight, and they're just waiting for the right moment, just waiting for the time to strike here, tossing those nades, tossing those smokes, getting ready to make it happen. Are they going to go in for the kill? I want to see G3 do this, and you can see they are pushing forward slowly but surely. Somebody has to make the call, and indeed they do. Up they come, but BBC, they choose to rotate away for the time being. Off they go. They don't want to get taken away just yet. They don't want to get sent back to the lobby. It is only one BBC player who has remained behind. That's Lord, snaking through the grass maybe to try and give them a little bit of a surprise. Of course, the rest of the team moving off into the distance is maybe going to take some of G3's attention away. We'll see if Lord can maybe get a little bit of surprise attack here.
That was quite an interesting disengage coming in there from BBC. I mean, it would be quite amusing to see Lord actually strike quite a deadly blow onto the side here of G3, as that would be a big brain play. I'm not gonna lie, that would be absolutely amazing, but the likelihood of that happening, we don't know just yet. But we do have a few more rotations now starting to come on through as the engagements are lighting up. Zero Tolerance coming in with that really wide rotation, looking to find an entry point all the way down on towards the southern edge of the zone. But of course, now the kill feed also starting to light on up as the hits are finding their way on through. G3 holding on the engagement, but of course now Zero Tolerance rotating up right onto the side there of BBC, and this is the position in which Lord can actually get up and move in, looking to put the punishment onto the side there of G3, because they are currently distracted with that rotation coming in from Zero Tolerance. So it is a little bit sad not to see Lord get up and come rushing in to the action. But of course, we still have 14 teams remaining, and there is going to be several opportunities for absolute carnage to erupt across the map here. But there we go, Lord now starting to pop up, and he puts the first shot on towards Flacco. Now he's going to be looking to close this one out. Oh, absolutely beautiful spray as Gunner now also gets knocked out. Oh, Buden finds the head up in towards Lord. It was a valiant effort coming in from Lord, but had he pulled off that maneuver, it would have been absolutely beautiful to see.
That was almost a tragic end to G3. That was very close. 2 out of 4 knocks is quite impressive. But Lord not able to pull it off without the assistance of his team. And of course, his team having disengaged and rotated away is currently now in an engagement with a couple of other teams in the vicinity. You can see they have hit the grass and just taking cover behind some of these rocks here. Zero Tolerance off in the one side. And of course, we've got 2 more teams off to the other, although they do need to make their way in to the zone very, very soon. Buden still looking for those long-range shots. This time, the comfy Cartel, the target of choice here for him as he puts the damage across and is, in fact, hitting a few shots. Black Clover also taking a little bit of damage as Influence Rage moves in there. You can see, of course, we're 5 zones deep in there, which does mean that the zone is very, very small at this stage. We've got 13 teams and 41 players still remaining, which does mean that we're going to have so many more fights happening here as everyone tries to rotate up in towards that zone, trying to get themselves a spot in safety. You can see absolute nuts in the kill feed there. Flaker just putting those shots across in towards Zero Tolerance skills. We have nothing but smoke to try and cover their escape, but it is not enough to save them. BBC now just trying to handle the situation as the teams in the surrounding area do engage with one another, and those rotations from the teams in the distance also coming on in.
It's going to be a pretty tough zone to rotate on in, but oh, those nades finding their way on through. As we can see, of course, now, oh man, Zero Tolerance just looking to bounce, but of course now BBC looking to make their own stand right here down in towards the south. Pain, of course, quite a bit of Pain as they are hoping to find a good position up in towards the zone. But as we looked on towards that mini-map, we did see a little bit of open space, especially up in towards the northeastern region of the zone. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly where the teams are going to be trying to push on in, as we have quite a bit of congestion down in towards the south. But UAE Pluto now looking to step up into the side there of Pain, already finding a few hits. The blue zone, of course, being as brutal as ever, as we see G3 now just capitalizing on the team's position outside of zone, just finding those hits and having the blue zone assist them with the carnage. But now up ahead we can see the players just scattered out, all just trying to squeeze in, trying to stay hidden to potentially play up in towards those later few phases. We have now entered the mid game as we are in the 5th zone, about to come to the end of that and move into the late phase of the game here, of course, heading up into the 6th phase. BBC still just holding on towards that eastern front, but the Utils now flying out as BBC tries to fend off the side there, of course, of the players coming in from UAE, who we see consistently trying to apply that pressure. But now looking over on towards the western side, the zone shifts up in favor of the players there from the Black Clover, and Apex, Scincerity, all just holding on to the edge of that zone. BBC now being reduced down to 1, and Nihal gets punished for his position. A slight bit of exposure coming on through, but now Pain moving out to get the loot. They find themselves in the exact same position. Now, of course, G3 are just capitalizing on the absolute chaos and mayhem up ahead of them.
Oh man, what an absolute crazy set of engagements that we've been seeing here. Really unfortunate to see BBC going out there. They are such a capable team, but yeah, they find themselves in very interesting situations sometimes. There's G3, of course, still on the board here, putting those shots down, and this is definitely a little bit more of what we expected from them, but still fingers crossed that they will be able to make it up into the final couple of zones, which does seem to be what is happening at the moment. We've got Euphoric Gods stuck in the middle of a field with pretty much every team conceivable surrounding them at the moment, which is not the easiest position to be in. Bearden goes taken down immediately with some shots coming through from the one side. I mean, look at all these teams in the surrounding area. Black Clover's putting the shots in. 6 goes down as well. That's a problem. The Euphoric Gods, of course, are putting the damage in their G3. They have a little bit of a scattered team at the moment. Flacco a little bit too far up to be helped at the moment. Pain now making the rotate in. Aphelion Apex trying to defend their position here using what little cover they have. Black Clover, of course, continuing to keep their defensive position as well. They have some pretty decent cover of their own, but everyone's very scattered at the moment, and it's just a case of trying to dismantle all the teams in the surrounding area. Now Pain putting the shots in. Beast will find the hit. 6 does put some return shots in towards Euphoric Gods. He does get taken down though, as Sinister is able to pull the trigger. So they are just crossfire going back and forth, and the shots coming through from all these teams as everyone is trying to pick off the members one by one of these teams here that are scattered all over the show. Bearden putting in some shots there in towards Hunter. But man, oh man, something has to happen fast. We've got 7 teams remaining here, 18 players left alive here in zone number 6 as we move in towards 7. The shots coming through. 6 puts them in. Pablo, of course, going down, and Hunter as well as the Euphoric Gods get knocked out of the park as well. Not enough cover to work with, and smoke does not block bullets, as we all know. Heals coming through for G3 as they scout out the area. We still have 6 teams remaining, so there's a lot to worry about for these players.
But I mean, G3 already sitting on 12 kills. They've been just bringing an absolute banger of a game, and this is what we've been looking to see. We were hoping to see G3 step up and reclaim their position, reclaim their title. But of course, now we're still seeing an absolute insane amount of carnage still to come. We've got 15 players alive, 6 teams remaining. And as we can see, of course, the players there from Black Clover just positioned on the edge of zone. Influence Rage also holding on to that northern position. G3 still looking to find the entry point, but Scincerity still having a pretty decent health bars there as they now also start to move on in, but they are taking aim down over towards the side of Pain. Of course, Aphelion Apex, 0 as you can see there, also just holding on behind the hay bale. And of course now, this is the point. Also where we are looking to see that positional play as the teams can look to set themselves up and just capitalize off of that. But now This is that moment of truth. The teams are getting ready to move in. The blue zone is closing up. They are running out of options. They are running out of space. And now they've got to make that last stand and just dash on in towards zone as we now head on over towards our 8th phase. And things are going to be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, but here it is, Scincerity getting shot at there, not taken out of the equation as Bearden puts those shots in. Respect trying to return some of that fire. Scincerity definitely a team that has to come up in the conversation for rising up to the occasion in recent times. Shots coming in from Respect in towards Apex there, having a tough time. Very low HP on Zero, and he's in fact going to get taken very low and taken down, in fact, as well. Shots coming into Beard, and he goes down. The Black Clover losing their members, and ultimately 4 teams remaining at the moment. G3 is one of them. Scincerity is another. Gunner getting taken down by Influence. Rage then actually getting thirsted as well. That's a tough situation to be in there. G3 trying to hold on for dear life. There are 3 teams remaining, but all of them stragglers. Rusty for Aphelion Apex there on the side. 6 God there for G3. Both of them just biding their time for the moment, hoping that this cover is going to be enough against Influence Rage. You have 2 players remaining for Sleepy and Sully being those 2 players. They have a decent amount of cover each. They've got a car, they've got some hay bales to work with. But this is really going to come down to the wire here. Somebody has to make something happen. Otherwise, the zone is, of course, going to decide their fate. And when that happens, it is always chaos. So the question is, are Influence Rage going to look for that leg up? Because if I were them, I would look to try and bait out or root out one of these players at least, so that it's just an easy win after that. Because right now, if Rusty and 6 God can unknowingly work together here, they could potentially pick this apart and give themselves a pretty good chance at taking that chicken dinner. Because Rusty's on the one side there with Sleepy, and if he can engage there, it might be easy for 6 God to just pop up and take a fight with Sully when he turns his attention over towards Rusty. And that's only if a situation like that can arise. So right now we're just waiting to see if that is going to happen. Sully and Sleepy are separated somewhat, but nades are getting sent in towards 6. Is it going to find its target? No. The explosion will not do any damage to 6 God just yet. Now we just have to wait and see who is going to make that first move. Of course, the blue zone slowly starting to creep up, which does mean that the toes of these teams will be absolutely fried to bits. And of course, 6 God, you're going to try and out-heal the zone, and we know that never works. Now it's up to Rusty to try and 1v2 against Sully and Sleepy, and I honestly don't think that's going to happen. HP is a little bit too low, no cover, and the blue zone, of course, all working together to take him down. It is done and dusted indeed. Influence Rage going to be picking up a clean chicken dinner there.
Yep, and of course now Aphelion Apex getting third-partied by the blue zone. Big rip for that, but of course that is just the way the cookie crumbles. That is how PUBG works. If you don't want to take the fight, you gotta suffer the consequences of that blue zone. But I gotta say though, a really strong performance coming in from our top 3 placing teams here. Influence Rage just bringing the action once again, finishing, of course, as you mentioned, they're on 5 kills. Aphelion Apex finishing their play on 8. But then we move on towards G3, who have just stepped up and delivered once again, finishing off on a 14-kill game. But it's good to see Flacco back, but he didn't even bring in a single kill. Just imagine if Flacco had brought in any of those shots. It would have been absolutely insane. But I got to give it to the side there of G3. They've returned. It's good to see them back up in form again.
Yeah, as I'm super excited to see G3 back up there. And especially looking at that kill count, 14 kills. That was just amazing. Now, obviously, the leaderboard is taking some time to be updated, but looking at that kill point and obviously the positional points that they're looking, I'm surprised that they would probably be ending up above the winners right there. I think even with the 15 points and probably just getting 5 kills, that puts them at about 20. Well, I'm not going to do the best. We'll just wait for the leaderboard. But how exciting was that, seeing action right off the bat between Lag and G3? Just right off the bat, getting the action, having teams going at each other. I literally stepped away from my computer. It was 12 teams alive, and then I came back and it was 4. I was like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? Do you know what I mean? Patchy, let's look at the updated standings.
Oh, it is exactly like I said. Aphelion Apex did manage to make up quite a distance with those kills. So it is 20 points apiece for both Influence Rage and Aphelion Apex there. Of course, Influence Rage coming in number 1, Aphelion Apex in number 2. G3, of course, as you mentioned, returning to form with 3rd place.
Yeah, but I think actually what's happening is G3 Temper have 10 points, 10 placement points.
Yeah.
So that actually puts
24.
them at 24. So yeah, so they're on top
Yeah.
in number 1, and then obviously then we'll work down from Influence Rage and Feeling Apex all the way down. See, I'm good at math.
Yeah.
But apparently the scoreboard's
You don't
not.
need to be good at math to spot the 1. I mean, that was a good sharp call though coming in there, Dr. Sid, spotting that we're missing a 1, an extra digit, but yes. So we've just corrected the leaderboard. It is now, of course, the 24 points going to the side there of G3. But I gotta say, Influence Rage, they held their own extremely well up in towards those final few zones. And of course, also Aphelion Apex, you gotta give it to them. They were right there in the mix, bringing the pain, bringing the hurt. And of course, as we saw in the early game, Lag Esports meeting a very abrupt early end. So that is, again, also just the way the cookie crumbles. That's how it goes. But of course, they've got 2 more maps to make it up onto.
Yep, they have 2 more maps to make it up to. Oh, there we have the adjusted, updated standings for the first page. So there we have it at G3 Temper, number 1 space, Influence Rage, number 2, tied with Aphelion Apex on 20 points. Scincerity Esports 11, Pain Africa 10, and then we go down 864 with Black Clover, BBC, and Euphoric, rounding up the first page.
Oh, and of course,
the
look at that
MVP.
damage.
Come on, Patchy.
1,135 points of damage on the back of this man right here. Bearden, absolutely nuts coming in with those 8 kills, and that has to be MVP. There's no other way to spin that one. That is a huge amount of damage done.
Wow, well, that has been our first map of the day. As you can see, the action is not hiding. It's coming out in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. And we are excited about what we're going to see in the next 2 maps. Of course, Sandhawk being a much tighter map, and we're expecting the teams to go at themselves right from the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, like I've always said, this is the Umzansi Esports League, Season 3, brought to you by Nordwind Gaming, the PUBG Mobile segment, and I'm here, Dr. Sid, with Patchy and DK, and we will see you guys right after the break with some more action from the tournament. Welcome back, everybody, once again to the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, brought to you by Nodwin Gaming. We are watching the PUBG Mobile segment. My name is Dr. Sid, here with Patchy and DK. As we have just witnessed Game 1 on Map 1, so I think this is game 7 on map 1, which is Erangel. Taking a look at the updated standings right now after the teams from Group Z and Group B and Group C have faced themselves up in game 4. We see G3 Temper taking the first place with 24 points. Influence Range and Aphelion Apex tied in second and third with 20 points. Scincerity Esports 11, Pain Africa 10, Black Clover from Mauritius in 8, from Mauritius as well, 6 points, and then Euphoric Gods from South Africa in 8th place with 4 points. Moving on to the next page, we have Rain from Hell from Mauritius in 9th place, the Comfy Cartel, Undisputed AE, Young Thundercats, all from South Africa in 10, 11, and 12. Then we have the Drogons from Nigeria, Zero Tolerance Skills from Mauritius, Slime 4KT from Nigeria, and Lag Esports from Mozambique, all with 0 points in the 13th to 16th positions of today's games. Obviously, our MVP for the last map was Buden from G Temper with 8 kills and 1,135 points of damage with a survival time of 24 minutes and 33 seconds. All that just lets you guys know is that there has been a lot of action in our first map, and we're expecting a lot more in our next map, which is Sandhawk. Now, DK, so these teams are doing well. Obviously, looking at the first game, what was your analysis or minor prediction? I know we really can't predict, but just indulge me. Your predictions before the next map.
Well, I'm expecting to see the side of Zero Tolerance bring in that play once again. We did see quite a strong play coming in from the side of G3, so we could potentially have a continuation of that. But as we know, we're moving in towards Sandhawk, a map that kind of lends itself to the aggression. So it's going to be interesting to see which teams are going to use this opportunity to step up and claim a few more points. So as I've mentioned, I'm looking to see what Zero Tolerance and potentially maybe even the Euphoric Gods could be doing in this next match.
Wow, Euphoric Gods, they're wallowing at the bottom right there. Patchy, what do you think about DK's comments, and do you think Euphoric Gods could possibly do something to come out of that bottom spot in the matchups or standings for today?
Yeah, it's always possible. You can never really wipe anything off the board in terms of what is possible, because we've seen anything really happen. We've seen crazy things happen. We've seen Young Thundercats, I think they gave us a performance some weeks ago where it was like they were going up against G3 in the final moments. I can't even remember if they won, but we've seen any team make it basically anywhere. So anything is definitely possible. From my side, I have to say I'm definitely looking for BBC in this one. I want to see them succeed, man. They've really grown since we've been watching them for over the seasons. They've really become such a capable team. And I really want to see them. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them move to the top, and I think they're definitely capable of doing that. Based on what I've been seeing from them. So this is a map where we've seen them do a couple of interesting things here and there. They have been playing a little bit more traditionally in recent times, but I want to see them. I want to see them take maybe some chickens here.
Well, I'm going to have some chicken while you guys talk about the blow-by-blow action on this particular match. The team's already out of the plane, going to landing spots. Let's see all the action, and I'll see you guys after the game.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Sid. It is map number 2 of today's games. Of course, that being Sandhawk. We've already got our flight path. The teams are already dropping, and we have our zone down here slightly towards the southwest. Another team I'm actually interested in looking at is Scincerity. They've been able to perform here and there pretty decently in the past, so definitely also going to keep an eye on that. For the time being, though, it is very much up in the air, because Sandhawk is just one of those maps where anyone who puts their mind to it can make it happen. And of course, on the other side of that, anyone who accidentally makes a mistake or gets caught out or just trips up even slightly is liable to get taken out entirely. And we've seen that happen a couple of times where some of these heavy-hitting teams have been just like immediately wiped out because yeah, that's just how Sanhok works.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the teams are going to dial in the aggression coming on towards Sanhok. And of course, as we look on towards Paradise Resort, we can see G3 and the side of Lag now, of course, taking their slice of Paradise. But G3 now coming in with a disengage as they get ready to rotate on through, looking to improve their position and maybe just hang around a little while longer, waiting to see what the side of Lag will be doing. But of course, now they do have a few more teams just up ahead of them. As you can see, the side here of Rain from Hell now coming under the fire as G3 is looking to push on in. Shylock taking a little bit of hurt there. But now this is where we look to see what Argus and Jin will be doing as Jin now gets knocked straight on down. We did see a pretty aggressive play coming from Argus at the start of Erangel. But will he be able to step it up once again now, moving up in towards Sanhok?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see G3 making their moves, pushing up towards Rain from Hell here. I'm not sure if they even have a chance to make anything happen. They are surrounded and they are very much getting taken out. With no mercy being shown whatsoever. So, of course, they get taken out. We see some pretty decent knocks all over the place. I think there was a battle happening elsewhere as well. But, of course, yeah, Rain from Hell been taken down to one player. Neon, of course, being that last final player there for Rain from Hell, has managed to escape the deathly grasp of G3 for the time being and escaped into the distance. Hopefully they can find themselves into a spot. But this is what we're talking about. You know, this is like the really shifting tides of this map where anything can really happen. You can just find yourself in a really bad spot and get taken out pretty quickly. There is a chance for bounce back, though. You know, we've seen Lone Wolves do some things before, but not so much recently as we have seen in the past. So, yeah, maybe it is just down and out for them. Who knows? We'll see. We'll keep an eye on that last Rain from Hell player there for the time being. The G3, of course, continuing to move forward, getting that loot and continuing to be active on the map, which is good because as soon as you stop being active on a map like Sanhok, then you will definitely get caught out for sure.
Yeah, definitely expecting to see that constant movement come on through. But of course, as we get into those later phases, that movement will start slowing down as the teams get into pretty close proximity to each other. So, of course, for the time being, the teams can still afford to be pretty active and run all around the map, as we are still in our first phase. And we can see Nero there from the Drogons, of course, now getting sent back up in towards the lobby. But there is still about 1 minute and 25 seconds remaining on the clock. So still quite a bit that can happen as the teams are now looking to set themselves up for phase 2. Scincerity, of course, all the way up in towards Ruins. You can see Respect now, just respecting the Ruins, taking position up on the edge. And this is an interesting position for the side of Scincerity to be in, as we don't really know if any of the teams could be rotating through this region.
Yeah, could certainly happen. Scincerity do have a pretty good grip of this region. We'll see what happens in this particular spot. It's going to look like two of those Scincerity players are going to make a rotate away, split themselves up just a little bit between the two compounds across the road. Maybe get a little bit more area covered. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite them all that much, because, of course, if you're separated, you can't assist one another. So a 2-2 pair is actually not too bad, though. A pretty effective team to be worked with. There are some actually really interesting books about strategy and tactics in a military scenario about going with two pairs. So any case, that aside, we'll have a look and see what is going to happen right now. Not as much activity as I'm hoping for just yet. We've got Pain Africa in the distance there. Zero tolerance skills here in this compound. Just checking out, making sure they know what's going on in the surrounding area. We're waiting for that pressure to build, that pressure to rise. And that is going to be the catalyst for the things to happen here. Ultimately, I'd be very interested to know what our statistics are for the teams that have actually won this map over the last, in the previous round and in this round for the season. It'd be interesting to see which teams out of these groups were actually the most statistically likely to take a win here.
It's going to be interesting to see what those statistics will bring. But now, statistically speaking, Patchy, it is time for action. The blue zone is starting to close on up, and Scincerity have set up right here on the edge of the waterway, of course, with the side there from the black Clovers just up ahead of them. They are looking to move into position, looking to set themselves up and just have the side here of the black Clovers rotate into their barrels. But as you can see, the side here of Black Clover, they are aware of the potential for players to be just up ahead. As you can see them now just frantically scouting the area, looking for those pixels out of place before they start moving into this region. Also, already the shots are finding their way on through straight on towards Muffin, and it now being put on a slight bit of a back foot. That element of surprise is now completely gone, as the players here from Black Clovers know exactly where one of the potential players from Scincerity is situated.
Yeah, they have to be really careful once they've sprung that. They know they're in a bit of a difficult spot, so they immediately get into their buggy and rotate out with some covering fire from the rest of the team, putting the damage in and immediately retract back into a more safe position, huddled up with one another, which is a good call. That's actually a really nice strategy as well. I like what they're doing there. You know, they have their two players anchoring from the back of a really well defensible site, and then they have their two other players slightly off in one of the opposite compounds very close by, where they can still provide that covering fire. That's a really solid strat right there, especially if you don't have to move. You can continue to be active around the map, so you can still have some presence, you can still have some impact on the surrounding area, but you don't necessarily have to expose yourself all that much. And that's actually a really good place to be, a really solid place to be. So it'll be interesting to see if Scincerity can make it up here. As I mentioned earlier, they are a team that I'm watching as well. Another team that I think could potentially succeed here on this map, number 2 today of the games. Also be interesting to see where BBC is, because that is the other team that I'm wanting to keep my eye on. But it'll be interesting to know what people think about this map, which teams they're rooting for here. You can definitely go and drop that. In the case, of course, we see some shots going off in that kill feed. The Euphoric Gods not feeling all too good about the engagement off in their direction. And we'll see if any more of those engagements take place.
But I'm liking the players that we have here. Of course, now the side of Influence Rage caught on the edge of the cliffs. They were trying to come in with a little bit of a botation there, but the Euphoric Gods now looking to stop them in their tracks. And this is, of course, quite the tricky position for the teams to try and make their plays from, looking to try and make their stands from, as they are holding on to the edge and just hugging that coastline. But Pablo just scanning the region there, hoping to find that entry point, that opening into the side here of Influence Rage. And we've seen a few strong plays come from them in past matches, but so far today we haven't really seen much of that just yet. I'm hoping to see an absolute banger of a game come in from Influence Rage. We've seen them do that, so it is slightly expected. But now, of course, Euphoric Gods just playing this higher ground angle, and it is going to be quite tricky to see, of course, where they go as we are nearing the end of our first phase, about to hop into the second phase. We can see that zone now staying over towards the eastern side, staying on towards the land, so moving away from the water. So it would make the rotation for the Drogons a slight bit easier, coming in all the way up from the north there. And of course, BBC pretty safe with their entry all the way down over on towards that southeastern side. But now it comes to the question as to what the teams are going to be doing within that zone. We see quite a bit of a congestion happening. I'm looking to see how the teams are going to handle themselves in these engagements.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that boot camp is totally open and abandoned. Like, no one is there. Everyone's concentrated down towards the southwestern island of that mainland sort of area. It's definitely weird not to see anyone in the vicinity of boot camp. Like, the closest team we got is Neon there, who's very much by himself at this time. Of course, G3 occupying that sort of bridgeland area in between some of the parts at the top there. Influence Rage, of course, do have to make their way across the coastline. They're in a very tricky spot because they know that if they stay here, they'll be just barely within the zone, but then also the next zone is definitely going to kill them. So they sort of have to find their way back to the coast, swim around all those rocks, find their ramp back up to land. Of course, up here we've got Lag moving in towards zero tolerance skills, which is definitely an interesting move. I'm not sure if Lag is even capable of being able to take this fight. They're certainly looking into it. They're certainly waiting to see if they can make it happen in the kill feed. Of course, Undisputed AE also putting some shots of their own in there, picking up some kills and knocks. I'm interested to see if Lag's going to be able to pull this off. Scincerity, of course, having made their rotate, pushing in up here towards the comfy Cartel, who have some pretty decent HPs. Respect very much alone there, not really supported by the rest of the team. We've got Silence on the back line, but if a knock comes through onto Respect, it's done and dusted for him. The Molotov, of course, doing very well to stop him from pushing forward and instantly getting shut down there. Potato putting the shots in, and True as well, of course, finding those, and the Thirst should be able to come in as well, and indeed it does. We'll be putting the final nail in the coffin. It's Broly, just using the fists as one does. Scincerity retreating back to their safety of this monument here, but certainly not the outcome that they were hoping for. Having lost 2 of their 4 players, there is going to be now on the back foot. I'm not sure what it is they were trying to do. I wish we could have actually seen what the intention was there. But yeah, unfortunately, they left the safe strategy that we saw them employing earlier, and well, they've been punished for it. Zero Torrent skills still here. They have not been pushed by Lag, and of course, as you can see, Lag has decided to move off. Not going to be engaging with that one. We've got BBC off in the distance as well. We're interested to see how they fare. We still have 15 teams and 49 players left here on the board. Lag moving in the direction of BBC could potentially make a little bit of an engagement now, pushing down around to see if they can find themselves a spot. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Lag, of course, now just exploring the region, looking for those compounds to move into. So it could be quite interesting, as you've said, to see whether or not they're going to look to take that engagement with BBC. As we can see, the whole squad for BBC just up ahead. And as we've been able to establish as well, the side of Lag, they are in need of a few points, all right? So their points not looking 100% ideal just yet. I'm pretty sure they won't shy away from a few more. They're currently sitting down in towards 14th place, so they could do with a few more to secure an even higher position. But if we look onto the side of BBC, they're currently sitting up in 8th place, so not a lot of points separating these two teams, as it looks like it could be potentially maybe 18 points or 19 points, whichever. It is still fairly close, so both teams could benefit from those engagements. But as we now see where the next phase is going, it shifts all the way down on towards that southeastern side. So the teams over on the western front, they're going to have quite a bit of a challenge to find a decent position to move in. But this is where I would expect the teams already positioned within the zone to look to fortify their positions in anticipation of the teams rotating in from the west.
Yeah, indeed, Lag finding themselves in a decent spot here. They've got a nice defensible position. BBC rotating up in the distance there. Of course, just doing what BBC does, and yeah, just staying out of trouble for the time being. Inference Rage going to be engaging with Black Clover there in the kill feed. As you can see, we're waiting 48 seconds before that zone does start to finish closing up there as we move in from zone 3 to zone 4. Teams are starting their rotate up. You can see Black Clover here on the screen, just making sure that they get themselves away from the troubled situation that does await them if they are a little bit too careless. Influence Rage moving off in the distance there. Scincerity keep themselves here and alive for the moment after having lost half their team. They're going to have to be very careful in how they proceed forward. We've got the Drogons there. Dan just weaving his way through the trees, keeping himself alive, doing what needs to be done to keep the dreams and the hopes of the teams alive here. We still have so many players left on the board. I'm waiting for that explosion, DK. We have to see that snapping point. It has to come soon. I mean, these teams cannot sit isolated forever. They're going to have to make something happen, and it has to happen at some point pretty soon.
Yeah, they gotta flick that switch off of idle and get up into that aggression. As we now look to see what the Drogons are going to be doing. They have been reduced down to a 2-man team. Also now moving into the vicinity here of the ruins. So quite a few teams converging onto this point. But we see the side there, of course, of the Black Clovers just off in the distance. And UAE now starting to light it up as they put the pain into the players from Cartel. Now being reduced down to Broly, Squeak, And of course, True. Lala getting sent on back. Brody looking to get that raise back up in towards Squeak, as True now is looking for that angle play. But they do have a little bit of company. Pain also just off in the distance, so it could be quite a difficult point for them to look to hold, as UAE is also now sitting on a two-man team. We have the Pain coming in. The numbers starting to fall as Pluto gets taken out. Matrix also just slowly bleeding out, but Potato now looking to make that final stand for UAE, and of course keeping the off angle. But now, Comfy Cartel already sitting on 3 kills up against the 2 kills on the side of UAE. Will they be able to find the entry point, find the aggression, and find those points? Potentially even send UAE back into the lobby. True, definitely going to try his utmost best. As we can see, Inspector now sending the nades up, looking to break up the potential threat coming in there from them. But Comfy Cartel, just holding Comfy in their little spot there, as True sends the heads on through. Of course, now Broly taking a little bit of a beating in the process, or rather causing quite a bit of a beating there. Inspector also now super low on health, as Comfy Cartel are just moving in and cleaning up the side here of the UAE team.
Yeah, definitely an unexpected outcome, but UAE just getting taken to Pound Town at this point. They are just getting naded, bombed. I mean, look at this. That is like 4 nades in a house, and Inspector does get taken down by one of them finally. So much damage done there. Comfy Cartel getting a little bit more aggressive than we usually see. That they're just sitting there like, yeah, you know what, we know you're in there, and we're just going to toss as many nades as we have in our bags into that house and hope that it just blows everyone up. And indeed it does. Of course, you can see that zone has shifted up in towards the north of the playable area up there. So many teams need to get that rotate going. A lot of them on that western side. We've got BBC moving up on towards Lag down there from the southeast. We've got the Young Thundercats sitting towards the south, pretty much alone for the time being, but they will not be when they make it into the zone, because now everyone's going to be squished up inside there. The lack of action is going to cause so much more action now moving forward. We've got Undisputed, or Aphelion Apex, should I say, moving up in here towards Influence Rage. Moving up to this point, Influence Rage just sitting in the grass there, waiting for the push. They know it's coming, but they just need to make sure that they can land those shots. It's going to be super important. Zero bouncing his way down the hill, looking for his potential targets. Got to be very careful here. Sleepy now also working independently of the rest of the team. That Pluton coming in, making it super difficult. Everyone's going to get caught in there silent. Very putting the shots in. Here comes Sleepy, also making the damage happen. Has to be very careful of those third-party shots. Just checking the surrounding vicinity to make sure he doesn't get taken down. But look at this. The team is going to have to be very wary. We're 4 zones deep, which means that blue zone is going to be doing quite a decent amount of damage up there. Zero puts the shots in towards Lord, as Black Clover now moving on up as well. Influence Rage moving in on Aphelion Apex. The shots coming through from Sleepy, keeping ahead of the curve, keeping ahead of the blue zone. But is it going to be enough? No. The hits coming through in this blue zone, putting too much pressure on there. Cold now fighting the rest of the team in the blue. Oh man, what a tough situation to be in. You have to pop the heals. You have to make sure you're just keeping ahead of that blue. The shot's coming through. Zero. Is he going to make it? Indeed, he will be taken down. Scincerity also losing a couple of their players there. Sleepy down on the floor, as Cold is still alive here. That's a lot of traction being lost there. Sleepy gets taken down. And of course, Aphelion Apex is going to be able to survive for the time being. They should have enough HP and meds to make it up, but the re-entry in towards the zone is going to be super tough. It's going to be very difficult because things are looking pretty crowded. 11 teams, 29 players left on the board as we move in from Zone 4 towards Zone 5.
It is going to be an exceptional challenge for a lot of these teams. We now have only 10 teams remaining, 26 players still alive as we're nearing the end of the 4th phase, looking to move up in towards the 5th. Now, G3 positioned up in towards the northern region of the zone. We see the side of Black Clover just getting absolutely obliterated as Buden now just takes aim, finding the heads. But Pain also holding up right here in towards By None. So there is that potential for Pain to move up and apply a little bit of pressure, as they are also now looking to make a bit of a stand. They do have a really good position just on the outskirts of zone, as we can see it, of course, now shifting up once again over towards that southeastern side. BBC, Rain from Hell, G3, Black Clover, the Drogons, Aphelion Apex, as well as the Euphoric Gods, and of course the side there of Young Thunder. They all still need to find their way up into towards zone. So if Zero Tolerance sets themselves up and they are able to fortify and hold on to their compound, they can just absolutely demolish the remaining teams who are all still looking to squeeze on up in towards the zone. This is where the positional play is going to be absolutely essential if the teams are looking to bring in a strong amount of points to catapult themselves up that leaderboard.
Yeah, absolutely. This is time. This is the time to make it shine. Zero tolerance skills got a pretty good position inside that zone. They were looking for a couple of those cheeky shots through the cracks. Didn't find any, but at least the intention to look for it is there. It is present. Zero tolerance looking to put the pain in towards some of the surrounding teams, just barely making it in towards that zone. You can see BBC, of course, and Nihal off in the distance there with the rest of the teams in the surrounding area. That zone is getting a whole lot smaller as we head in towards zone number 6. We're very, very close to that point now. You can see everyone in the distance. We still have our 10 teams remaining, but I have a feeling those numbers are going to start dropping pretty quickly. Zero tolerance need to be careful. There's a lot of angles for them to watch. A lot of teams moving around the young Thundercats, exposing themselves just a little bit. Lots of damage being done. Hammered from behind. They have to be careful as well, because everyone is watching. The blue zone now moving on in. Pablo cannot keep ahead of that blue. Hammered from the other side. You've got to be careful when making that rotate. Now the young Thundercats just barely inside that zone for the time being, but as it gets smaller, of course, the numbers dropping even more. 6 teams remaining as G3 looking in towards BBC to try and put the shot into the McLaren. No, not the McLaren. Instantly gets punished for it. That's what you get for your insolence towards vehicles of such caliber. Instantly gets clapped back there. Flaco hitting the floor. Of course, Buden now left all to him to try and make some things happen here, as the rest of the team has to try and reconvene here, get those HPs, get those reses back up. We've got Pain Africa off in towards the one side. They also need to get their rotations through, because, of course, that blue zone is going to start moving in any second. 7 seconds left, in fact, before these teams have to move on in. Top 5 teams have been reached at the moment as Young Thundercats now taking in towards G3. Flaco's going to fall. They have to be careful, because if they're not going to be able to find the cover and the rotates that they need, they might just get caught out in that blue.
Oh, it is going to be an absolute bloodbath as the teams now look to push in towards zone. Zero tolerance now just holding on to their compound, wreaking absolute havoc onto the side here of BBC. As you can see, Falak already getting taken down. Aimless and Nihal now still looking to find a way on into that zone. Zero tolerance putting up a pretty good defensive play, but now G3 looking to make a stand. They're fighting from out in the blue. It is the 6th zone blue. It is going to be absolutely brutal as these final 4 teams are now all looking for their little slice of heaven, their little piece of pie right there up in towards the zone. As the heads fly through onto the side of G3, they get sent back into the lobby. BBC now has their players positioned on in the blue. It is going to be exceptionally difficult for Aimless to get all the way in and contend against the blue. But of course, now as you can see there, Aimless loses the fight. Blue zones on in, claims yet another life. And now we are down to Pain and the side of Zero Tolerance, bringing in that final zone position. Both squads, of course, still sitting on full numbers. Pain sitting on 7 kills. A really good run for them so far. But Zero Tolerance does have a slight advantage with the compound. Pain are looking to spread themselves out right here in this final zone, looking to make that stand. It is, of course, now 7th phase. We still have 2 potential phases to go after this. So you can see the mollies coming in there from Zero Tolerance. Beast now just trying to sneak around that, hugging the edge of the waterway. Vortex and the remaining players here from Zero Tolerance, of course, now pretty adamant. They don't want to move out of their compound just yet, but the zone is going to be forcing them to huddle up and get pretty close. Now that, of course, could open up the opportunity for the side of Pain to send in the utils and get the whole squad in one foul swoop. So a lot of potential lying in both teams. Zero Tolerance does have the compound to make a bit of an opening, but El Chapo is not even going to sit around and wait for that to happen, as they are pretty eager to send the herd on through. And of course, the Beast finds the first shot right on towards Vortex. Now, Hates quickly rushing in to get that res going. Skydo and Rush now just looking to make a little stand up in the windows, as the blue zone is still forcing them closer and closer. And if they get caught out in the blue, it could be absolutely devastating for them. But now, this is where we look to see exactly what Pain will bring and whether or not they'll be able to clutch that chicken dinner, as the zone has shifted up in favor of Pain, and Zero Tolerance now has no other option. They have to get out of their compound. But they do have a two-man split on either side, so they could potentially leverage that and use it to gain a decent position in. But I mean, looking at the spread here from Pain, it would be absolutely brutal for Zero Tolerance.
Oh, yeah, it is, because something has to give, and indeed, they have to jump straight out of that house, and instantly Pain is ready to capitalize on that. Kingdom putting the first few shots in, the rest of them have to capitalize as well, and indeed, it will happen. Pain just instantly getting the catch, instantly clapping back. Zero Tolerance fighting for their life here as they try and get the trades, and indeed, they are finding some of them. I don't even know who won. Yeah, it was Pain. Yeah, they managed to make it happen.
But that was a beautiful strat coming in there from Pain. The way that they had set themselves up in anticipation of that zone, potentially shifting up to them. Absolutely beautiful stuff. And of course, it also resulted in them finishing off with an 11-kill game. So absolutely phenomenal performance coming in from Pain. Zero Tolerance, of course, taking that second place, taking the knee, and finishing off on 8 kills. BBC up once again, finishing up in third place, ending on 3 kills. So really strong finish for the teams that we had here, and it's a good result. I'm quite satisfied with the performance we had coming in from Pain throughout this match.
Yeah, certainly was. And of course, coming in with some substantial kill points there as well is sure to boost those teams nice and far up that leaderboard. I'm very interested to see where we stand, but ultimately, yeah, it's exactly as we expected. You know, somebody else stepping it up once again, and of course, Pain, another name that does pop up from time to time.
Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason I'm really rooting for Pain Africa. I like the way they've come through in the earlier rounds with some very unexpected chicken dinners. And today again, like I said, looking for someone to shake up the table and come out of nowhere with a chicken dinner, and they've done so. But not only doing that, but coming away with at least 11 kills, which for me is super exciting. I just can't wait to see the updated tables, because this is looking to be an exciting round of PUBG Mobile in the Umzansi Esports League. Teams are definitely bringing in their action. You know, DK, what was your highlight for that particular match? Oh, let's take a look at the standings. We have them already.
Well, first up, let's get into the standings, right? So as we can see, of course, Pain reigning supreme. No surprise, we did see them in the previous visit in the group B versus C, and of course, game 2. They were just absolutely insane, finishing off on 11 kills, and they repeated here once again today. The exact same finish as they had a week ago. Zero Tolerance coming in to that second place, finishing with 8 kills and 20 total points. BBC finishing with only 3 kills and 13 points. But G3 Temper stepping it up once again, finishing off in 4th place overall. Also tied then, of course, on 13 points. But they did manage to find those 5 kills and have a good placement. Of course, the Comfy Cartel making up quite a bit of position there, up in towards 5th place, coming in with 7 kills, bringing them up onto a grand total of 8. The Young Thunder, of course, finishing in 6th place with 7 points. Aphelion and Influence both finishing in 7th and 8th place respectively with those 6 points. So just looking at this, I mean, there is a little bit of a change up in comparison to what we had in last week's games. Of course, we had Comfy Cartel finishing in 4th this week. They finished, you know, pretty close. But of course, as we head on to the second page, this is where things get quite interesting, because it looks very similar to what we had in the previous matchup with these teams on the exact same map.
Yeah,
That is just interesting to see as well. And who are we looking at for MVP, Patchy?
Gee, I mean, who could tell? It's in fact, is this correct? Is this accurate right here? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's. I mean, if you get 13, if you can get 13 kills while existing for 0 seconds, that is impressive. I mean, that is just net. Like, that is basically you jump out of the plane, and before you jump out of the plane, you shoot 13 people in the head with a non-existent gun and then disappear immediately. Now that is something next level. I've never seen that in my life.
I'm telling you, that is some of the impressive stuff that can happen at the Umzansi Esports League. Like we say, we expect the unexpected. Anything can happen at any point in time. We're going to check on the MVP and get to the updated numbers. But like I was asking earlier on, DK, what would you say was your highlight for that particular match?
I gotta say, the play from Pain right there in that final zone, the way that they anticipated that zone to spread themselves up, setting up that death squad right there for the side of Zero Tolerance, absolutely insane. Big brain play, and they just reap the benefit from that. But of course, it's no surprise. As I've mentioned, last week we had Pain landing in exactly the same position on the leaderboard with exactly the same amount of kills. So this is a slight bit of deja vu coming in for the side of Pain. So I think it could be safe to assume that this is Pain's strongest map, Sanhok. Just based on what we've seen over the past 2 weeks.
That's impressive to see, and obviously you've been doing this for a while, so you obviously can see the patterns. You know, Patchy, what for you did you take out of that last match? Hold that thought. I'm gonna come back to you after the break. We'll discuss more on this map and take a look at the updated standings and the MVP. This is still the Umzansi Esports League Season 3, brought to you by Northern Gaming. You are hanging out with DK, Patchy, and myself, Dr. Sid, and we'll see you right after this break. Welcome back, everybody, to the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. This is, of course, brought to you by Nodwin Gaming, where you have the hottest esports action on the African continent, and I like to say, indeed, the world. Here, Dr. Sid with Apache and DK giving you all the best action. But right now, we're going to take a quick look at the standings of the last match, Game 5, between Group B and C. Apache, you want to talk us through this?
Yeah, of course. It's Pain Africa taking that #1 spot there with the chicken dinner and 11 kills for that total of 26. There's Zero Tolerance coming in second with a nice 20 points there. BBC coming up third with 13 as well. G3 Temper coming in 13 as well. Good to see BBC and G3 both towards the top of that leaderboard. The Comfy Cartel getting in a couple of points of their own as well with 8. There we've got Young Thundercats up in 6th place there with 7. Aphelion Apex with 6 and 7 as well. Influence Rage with 6 points in the final 8th position there. Of course, moving on to the next page in 9, it's got obviously Black Clover. We've got Euphoric Gods in 10, Rain from Hell in 11, Undisputed AE in 12, Drogons in 13, Scincerity in 14, Slime 4KT in 15, and Lag in 16. Of course, Undisputed AE, definitely not a performance that we're expecting out of there. But there it is, of course, the MVP that we did not get in the previous, before we went to the break. There it is, Kingaman with the 5 kills, 440 damage there with a survival time of 25 minutes there and 33 seconds. So at least now we know that it was not, in fact, a mid-air kill with the paracord, as DK suggested.
It was a power strangle in the plane on their way down. Yeah, I think a para strangle. That should be a word. I think I'll create that. Anyways, we are moving on to our final map of the day. We've just had close quarters on Sandhawk. Now we're going to look for long ranges on Miramar. I can't tell you, like, I'm literally running out of breath just thinking about the action that's going to happen with some really long range shots. And the way the teams have been playing right now, they are really, really, really aggressive. So, I mean, DK, what are we, with the increased aggression, we are in tune for an exciting match, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, this could potentially once again be the game where we see Lag Esports step it back up and bring the aggression with, because historically speaking, that is what we've seen with them last time on Miramar, going up against these exact same teams. So there is that opportunity for them to step back up in towards the foreground. But of course, we're going to be looking across the board to see what the side of, for instance, potentially maybe even BBC will bring. I know Patchy was rooting for them hopping in towards Sandhawk. So maybe this is the game where we see BBC come in and show us what they've got as we head on over in towards Miramar.
Yeah, I'm super excited, Miramar, because these maps, especially, sometimes when you get into a building, we see, especially in Miramar, we see the cars come out. We see the rise, everybody's trying to get a car. It's like getting a car is part of your strategy, because not only does that allow you to get across long distances, but it also gives you some cover in spaces where you don't have cover. So at this point in time, match is about to start. This is why I leave you guys in the very capable hands of Patchy and DK as they talk you through all the action. Take it away, boys.
All right, there we go. Thank you so much, Dr. Sid. It is game number 3, map number 3 for the evening. It is, of course, going to be Miramar, and we are heading into that flight path already, heading from west to east. A lot of the northern portion is going to be out of range for the time being. We've got BBC dropping pretty quickly as well. Going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, speaking traditionally, I'm not sure if they're even going to be able to make something happen here, but who knows? I mean, with all these teams, different teams stepping it up in different areas, who knows what the status quo is here. I mean, generally speaking, we would expect a team like G3 and say, oh yeah, of course they could do it. It's Miramar. This is where they shine. But I mean, there have been other teams stepping it up and shining in their own way and finding their groove here on the 3 maps that we play. And so, I mean, who knows? Maybe another team has found themselves super comfy here as well, and they're going to show us some serious action in any case. I hope that's what we find. For the time being, though, of course, all the teams are heading down in that zone, going slightly up towards the north.
It's going to be interesting to see, of course, where the teams are heading off into. But, of course, we have a little bit of a potential hot drop already coming in over on towards Los Leones. As we can see, the Euphoric Gods and Scincerity dropping down in pretty close proximity. But, of course, now Pain and the Drogons just a little bit further up from that position. Cartel holding that position down in towards the south as well. So quite a few points of contention coming in. But here we go now. Lag and Pain getting ready to start their shuffle, start their fight right up in towards Picado. So you can see Fantasy, Zero, and the rest of the team there from Lack holding those angles. And our MVP from the previous round, Kingerman, just right there on the edge, lying in wait, hoping for that opportunity to present itself so he can strike on in and make another run for that MVP play. As you can see, that first shot already flying through onto two of the players from Lack. So Kingerman already off to a pretty aggressive start as he swoops in, gets the first confirm. Of course, now looking to pick up even more as Fantasy also gets sent on back. But now A-Man now left to make the final stand, and no, Lag gets swept under the rug as Pain comes rushing in and ending it right there for them.
Man, what a painful end to Lag. Certainly not what they were hoping for out of that, but at least we got some nice early action coming through there, and that's something we want to see a little bit more of. Good to see that coming through. We are now on 14 teams. I'm not sure if we're going to see any more action coming through. We do see that Rain from Hell has taken a couple of casualties of their own, or at least one for the moment. Hate up here looking for a little bit more pressure, pushing through towards them, at least closer towards Rain from Hell, and looking for maybe some more kills to put into pocket.
Well, there's quite a few pockets to do for. We still have 54 players remaining, 14 teams, and now we see Zero Tolerance taking aim onto the side here of Rain. Of course, we've seen a pretty strong play come in from Zero Tolerance as the shots are now coming straight over towards Argus, who's having a tough time. I mean, the first match he started off exceptionally aggressive, but after that, things have been looking a little bit tough as we now can see the side here from Rain from Hell looking to just reposition themselves and potentially get that res back on up as Shylock is now looking to get the res on in. Neon already being sent back into the lobby, and now Madara left to make the final stand, the last bit of aggressive hold while they look to get that res going. But this is also the moment where we could see potentially the side of Zero Tolerance moving in, looking to close it up onto the players here from Rain from Hell.
Yeah, and Hate's doing a good job in just really keeping them on their toes and keeping them damaged as well. A lot of damage being sent through there from his side in towards Rain from Hell. He's done a good job of really just putting a rod through some of their hearts. And now, of course, they're in a pretty difficult situation here, hugged up against the wall of this building to try and separate him from them. Shylock off on the back line, making some rotates around from the one building to the next. Hate's just keeping a watchful eye over the surrounding area to see if he can catch Madara out. For the moment, though, hasn't been able to do so just yet, but he's not letting up, even though his HP is not in the best spot that it could be. He is still just keeping the pressure on the rest of the team off in the distance. Could potentially come from the back. In fact, that might be the play here. A bit of a pincer move, and indeed the third-party shots coming through and putting Madara down and out of the action, which is going to leave Shylock to do everything by himself. Has to either look for the res or look to get out of there as soon as possible. We'll see what decision he makes, and it does look like he might just be retreating out of that situation, which is probably the smartest thing to do at this time. But I mean, Zero Tolerance skills, they're looking for this one. They're not too phased about it. If he rotates off, they're like, yeah, fine, we'll just get the kill. But indeed, Shylock's going to get spotted out by Vortex, and the shot does land. Look at that. Instantly does so much damage. Shylock has to hide behind the tree, and now the crosshairs all over the show is just going to make sure that Rain from Hell will no longer be able to rain from anywhere other than the lobby.
But that was a beautiful play coming in there from Zero Tolerance. The way that Hates was just holding that front line, waiting for the rest of his team to move in, just buying themselves a little bit of time, keeping the pressure on it to the side there from Rain from Hell. And then, of course, we saw the rest of the squad just rolling in, closing out the engagement. And now they get ready to move even further up in towards that zone, as we do have the blue zone starting to close on up. I'm pretty sure the players from Zero Tolerance are pretty impressed with their play that they just had. I mean, they're sitting on 4 kills. It is still only the first phase. And, I mean, there's still quite a bit more to go, as the teams still have quite a bit of distance to travel to get up in towards zone. But looking on towards the more centralized region of the zone, it is looking heavily congested. So many players holding up in the vicinity, and San Martin is going to be an absolute hornet's nest with just the sheer number of players positioned in there.
Yeah, Indeed, indeed. So, of course, now we move on to the Drogons, who are up here making their moves and getting themselves into some decent positioning across this map. And it's good to see that despite the large size of this map, which usually in the past, at least in the previous seasons, did put a stopper on a lot of the action happening early on, instead the teams have taken up the mantle and actually put the energy down and made sure that they're getting stuff happening on the map. G3, of course, doing what they do and taking up the high ground, looking for some of those long-range shots in there. And, I mean, this is exactly why they're very often seen to be one of the most effective teams on a map like this, is because they generally find themselves in a pretty good spot. They find a nice piece of high ground. They find themselves a really good overwatch here. And then, they just put those shots in. Bearden, of course, going to be able the one to take that position up on the top. He's going to overwatching his team down in the town below, making sure that nobody rolls up on them without him knowing about it. And this is actually one of the things that I was going to talk about previously. In the previous map, we saw, I believe it was Scincerity, playing a 2-2 split with one of their teams, one of the two of the teams defending from the monolithic structure, and the other two of the team doing a little bit of exploration and sort of using that relationship to overwatch one another and do a little bit of activity. And I like to see strategies employed in that manner. I like to see actual effective tactics being employed by the teams. Another one of them, of course, being the Overwatch tactic, where you have somebody watching that long range from a really good vantage point high above, while the rest of your team operates in whatever area that you're operating in. So that's really, really cool to see those strategies and tactics being employed, especially considering now we're watching those teams, as you can see on the map, G3, Drogons, Aphelion, Apex, sitting in towards the middle of the previous zone, giving them free reign in this zone as well. So they don't have to get any rotations just yet, and they're in a pretty decently concentrated part of the map. So they could potentially find themselves in a good spot if somebody decides to roll up in their direction. Then, of course, they have that one player Bearden on Overwatch to spot out anyone who's moving up, anyone approaching. And they can say, hey, there's a team approaching from this particular area, and then the team can respond accordingly. So, I don't know. It pleases me greatly to see, proper tactical considerations actually becoming employed by the teams.
Yeah, the tactical awareness coming in, and of course, we're going to be looking to see exactly how the teams are looking to apply that, as we now have about 40 seconds or so left on the clock before that blue zone starts closing up once again, and the zone will experience yet another shift, moving up once again. But the Drogons are just holding their position on the side here. G3 just patiently waiting, looking for that vantage point, looking for that opening, and potentially then looking to strike. As you can see it, of course, no Tezuka and Dan just rotating up on it towards Nero, looking to fortify that a little bit more, but it is still a very spread out position we have for both teams here. And it's going to be interesting to see, especially when the other teams start making their rotations up a little bit further in towards the zone. We did see, of course, that zone just heading at a slight tad up in towards the northwestern reach. So the teams will have a bit of a challenge to find in a good position in that zone. But I'm looking to see who's going to try and set themselves up early.
Yeah, it is very much that sort of a game. It plays into that. If you can get yourself in a good situation early, then obviously that's hugely beneficial. But then the fact of the matter is, obviously you have to worry about all the rest of the teams who could potentially have the same thing in mind, or at least have it in mind to stop you from doing that. So we'll have a look and see if any of these teams makes the first move, or decides to actually get themselves set up very nicely. And quickly, of course, the Drogons have taken up residence on the one side of the compound here, just across from where G3 are situated. Bearden still with that long-range angle up on the top of the hill, does have the rest of the team there from the Drogons in his sights, making sure that they don't do anything too crazy, that they don't decide to push up. He's feeding that information over to the team. The Drogons just happily sitting in their compound for the time being. We'll have to wait and see about the rest of the teams when they decide to get their rotates in to get across that line, get themselves in the safe zone. We still have 13 teams left on the board here. We've got 51 players still alive, so that's a lot of players to occupy the space. Thankfully, the map is quite large, and for the time being, there's plenty of spots to occupy on the playable area. But of course, as we move in from Zone 2 to Zone 3, and we start heading in closer to that mid-game, hopefully we start to see the pace picking up once again, because after that initial burst of action, things did definitely start to settle down a little bit between these teams here.
Yeah, of course. Now, just looking at... So we still have the centralized position here with the teams. But now we have, as you've mentioned, still quite a few of them remaining to spread out throughout the map. There is, of course, still 13 teams in play. And we haven't seen these numbers change for the past few minutes. The teams now just holding on those angles, holding on those positions in anticipation for the next shift, which you can see, of course, heading right on over towards Hacienda del Patron, centering up very nicely on that. But now Comfy Cartel and the side here of Euphoric Gods starting to exchange a few hits. Of course, UAE positioned right there alongside them. And Black Clovers now also gaining their own entry in towards zone, coming in from that eastern front. But the west could get pretty congested, as we've got quite a few teams still looking to make those rotations all the way into the zone. This, of course, now is only the second phase. So we've got quite a few more phases still to go. But the teams are now playing the space. Right, they're playing the separation, they're holding on the distances, waiting for those later phases before getting into these engagements. And I can tell you, Battery, this is going to be an absolute bloodfest once we get into those later phases with such a high number of teams still remaining. It is not going to come down to a positional play now, but then it's going to come down to who has the quickest reaction, because the teams all being in such close proximity. That is what it's going to come down to. It's going to be coming down to who will be able to pull the trigger first and find the good spray on it to their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this game, especially on this map, in fact, a lot of this map in particular, it comes down to if you can actually get into that close range engagement, because it's not actually easy. If you think about it, it's not that easy to get up close and personal with a team that you want to try and take a fight with, because of the fact that things are so open and so long distance. It can be very difficult to close that gap between you and the team. So you have to try and just play it a little bit safer and play it long range and make sure you take those engagements in that way. So you wait for the environment to push you into those situations, like for instance the zone or the hot drops, as we saw earlier. Now, of course, the Young Thundercats having taken control of the top of this particular mountain, Buren not being discovered just yet, or at least not being rooted out just yet, is still up here on top of this little mound here, this little mesa, or the top of this one. Putting the shot in is going to find Adonis actually very quickly, going to knock some more wind out of the Young Thundercats' sails here. The rest of the team has to come in for assistance, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to. Buren already spotting that he has pretty much the ability to just move up and get two quick free kills, or thirst, should I say here, is going to just motivate him to jump down from his position up there, put those shots in, get those kills, collect on those points, and even potentially put some pressure on towards the last two remaining Young Thundercats players, which would definitely be quite a ballsy move coming out of this guy if he decides to try and push up through. Of course, he does have the rest of the team moving up behind him to put the pressure on, and of course, with that blue zone moving up, the Young Thundercats cannot really rotate away, so they're left with a very difficult set of choices. Do they take this engagement, or do they try and wait it out? Because they are still inside the zone for now, but with the next rotation, that may not be the case, and indeed, shots coming in from the Euphoric Gods in the meantime, as the zone does shift up slightly towards the east there, leaving most of the teams in a position where they have to rotate.
It's going to be a highly congested zone for these teams to try and move on into. And of course, now you can see this idea of G3. They are pretty comfortable up in towards San Martin. They know how to play the region. They know how to play the cover. They just capitalizing on that level that they have, the knowledge they have on San Martin. But of course, now Young Thunder just holding on their own position as they still now need to get ready to rotate back up in towards zone. Still 13 teams remain. And this is where we get closer to that situation. The teams that are already able to set themselves up in this coming phase would have, the advantage there over the remaining teams who are still looking to secure a position. We can see also now just on the mini-map there, the side of G3, of course, now getting into a little bit of an engagement with the side of Scincerity as well. As we can see, Respect now finding the shot straight up in towards Buren. The aggression is coming straight on through, but now Comfy Cartel also to find a good position as they are pretty close to the edge of the zone. So many teams now coming in with those rotations, and this is almost a first come, first serve. Pain already setting themselves up in that center zone, so we're going to be looking to see whether or not they can capitalize on that. It has been quite a bit of a rotation coming in for them, but as that zone had shifted up, You know, they just managed to sneak their way on through, but also Influence Rage right there, smack dab center zone. But looking onto the edge here of San Martin, you can see the Drogons as well as Scincerity, and also a few of the players there from the G3 team. So these teams now, they still need to get their butts back up into zone. It is going to be quite a bit of distance for them to try and cover all that ground successfully. But now Bane just raining down Influence Rage, also now finding those engagements in retaliation right on towards them. And I'm pretty sure it's quite a bit of a bloodbath, but down in towards the southwestern side here, it could also potentially still be pretty bloody.
Certainly could be, and the Drogons are, of course, up here, right up against the Pain. We've got Pain Africa as well, sitting up close here. They've popped the smokes. They're looking to take some engagements here right up ahead of them. A couple of teams lay in wait, and up they come, moving in to try and cover that ground, looking for the rest of the teams up ahead of them, clearing up the compound bit by bit. Potato off on the one side in the distance. Also just keeping an eye on there. They're just putting the pressure on in here towards Influence Rage. Sleepy, as well as what looks like Lead over there, is just keeping this house on lock at the moment, pushing up here, holding the top of the house. The second floor is still under pressure from Pain, but is it going to be enough to hold on against this team as they start pushing up? Because soon they're going to be just absolutely swarming the top of that house, and it's going to be very, very difficult to keep a lock on it. And indeed, with those grenades being tossed, and with Elite just looking at the top of that stairwell, you can see those nades just being tossed up, and they try and get those knocks going. Is it going to be enough though? Up comes Elite, he puts the shot in, just charging down, tries to get the drop shot, but it does not work, and that is going to be the end of that. Here we've got Black Clover taking quite a bit of damage here, just on the edge of that zone as the blue zone closes in. You can see they're taking a little bit of an engagement, trying to take a peek at what's going on. Vibe, of course, needs to get the res, or needs to get rezzed up. We've got Undisputed AE off in the distance, and they have to get the rotate on through, as well as that zone has shifted up, which is going to force the rest of the teams to move in. And look, most of them outskirts, sitting on the outskirts of that zone. BBC now moving up. They're still in the mix. 11 teams remaining. Here's the Young Thundercats up to the top, still keeping a hold of their life for the time being. G3 off on towards the west side, just above Aphelion Apex there, as you can see, scattered around towards the southwest. Now Inspector putting in the shots in towards Black Clover as they try and make their rotate away. Things are certainly heating up now as we move into Zone 5. These teams are going to have a tough time moving in and claiming a spot for themselves inside that safe zone.
Yeah, Euphoric Gods especially being put on a slight bit of... Only got a few seconds left on the clock, but with Inspector coming in with those shots, it is going to be an exceptional challenge for the Euphoric Gods to secure themselves a position into this coming zone, as they are going to be facing quite the bit of a hurdle to try and get on through. And it is going to be absolutely insane. UAE now also looking to set themselves up, looking to get those rotations on in, but they're not up just yet. They are, however, just hanging around on the edge. But here we go, Pluto and Potato now coming in with a quick rush as they rotate up right behind the players from the Euphoric Gods. And down below, quite a few teams are just lying in wait. Of course, you can see the players there from Aphelion Apex and the Drogons taking out engagements just off on the side. But Black Clover also now looking to dial up the Pain onto the side of Pain, who we see taking a little bit of a split there, getting in a little bit of a separation, just bringing in a bit of a safer play. BBC also holding on to the edge there, but the Euphoric Gods now looking to make a stand against the side of UAE, who's coming in with pretty strong numbers all the way down in towards the south of the zone. Now looking to see if he can find an opening on towards Pablo, and I wouldn't be surprised if UAE would start stepping up in this game. We did see a few tough matches for them in the previous two. Of course, now also Zero Tolerance coming under fire as we have the team of Aphelion Apex right there alongside them. Kage keeping a very watchful eye from up behind the rock. The third party peeking down in and towards the zone. The Utils are flying on in, and it is going to be a pretty tough stand against the side here of Zero Tolerance. They do have the zone to their backs. But now, as we wait to see where the next phase is going to be going, this is where things could potentially get pretty difficult for these teams.
Yeah, it certainly is getting into that area. We've got Zero Tolerance putting in some serious long-range hits in it towards the Euphoric Gods there, and they are under a little bit of pressure. They don't have much cover to work with here. Hates, of course, coming out to take some engagements with some of the surrounding teams, make sure the pressure isn't mounting too much so they can focus on the teams long range. Of course, Aphelion Apex on the back line is still being held at bay by the likes of Vortex here, who has been putting the pressure on them to stop them from just continuing to push up against the zero tolerance skills. But Matrix, keeping his eyes out and putting those shots into them, is going to put the possibility for those third parties on the board there. Vortex trying to clap back in towards Matrix, not going to find the shots, and that's going to mean that they still have to worry about that back line. It's going to be tough to deal with, but they have to deal with it. The Black Clover team, of course, as you can see, they are right up here towards the northeast there, taking care of the teams in the surrounding area. We've got BBC up towards the north, continuing to stay alive for the time being. The team from Zero Tolerance Skills in a bit of a difficult spot as the zone's about to start rotating up, but they're still under the pressure from Aphelion Apex there, so they have to take care of that problem before they can move up. Otherwise, it's going to be a bloodbath inside that blue zone, which of course you never want to get caught in. So of course, as the zone does start to push on through, they have to make it happen. Of course, the team's now sitting inside that zone. Of course, also going to be pushed here as Pluto and the rest of the gang there from UAE does start to move up and try and take presence there from Pain Africa, who's right inside this building. They don't have much to work with, though. Kingerman very much alone in terms of where he is, and the rest of his team not in a good position to help. So it is going to be a tough one for them to manage, and now come UAE to put the pressure on. Of course, Zero Tolerance Skills still trying to deal with Aphelion Apex, who have also started to push up in towards that zone, which is very, very small. But thankfully, there are some buildings to work with. That's going to make some very interesting pushes coming through.
Yeah, they're going to be looking to play the edge of the zone, and now Pain is just pretty spread out. They might meet their end at the hand there, of course, of Zero Tolerance and UAE, as they do have the numbers advantage coming into these engagements. But of course, we can see Aphelion Apex also with quite a bit of a split coming in. Only 6 teams remain now to fight it out, and we can see 4 of those 6 teams situated right here in front of us. Of course, now UAE looking to clear out the building as they are rushing on in. Potato looking for potential opening on the back end there, but Kingerman already moving up on towards the next compound, just making sure to put a little bit of distance between him and the side here from UAE as they come moving in. But of course, now Aphelion Apex feeling the pressure, feeling the hurt as the shots come through, and of course the Beast gets knocked out as well. You can see BBC and of course Black Clover just positioned up on towards the north of that zone. UAE looking to make a stand, looking to dominate the zone once again. Zero Tolerance still holding on that western front. Amos does have quite a bit of a challenge up ahead. A solo going into this last few zones. With such a high number of players still remaining, it is going to be an exceptional challenge. But of course, now Kingerman gets sent on off at the hand there as the molly comes on in. But Yuhai just patiently waiting, and the rest of the squad there, Black Clover, also just waiting to see what that zone will bring. They can now just casually stroll on into a zone, while the teams positioned down in the south are getting into these fights, just taking all these engagements. And of course, it is going to be a pretty tough showing for all of them.
Yeah, it certainly is. UAE, they have a pretty good position here in terms of their numbers, but they have to leverage those against quite a number of scattered teams around the surrounding area. Pain getting pressured by Cold there from Aphelion Apex, who is keeping them on their toes as well. The fire is burning in their direction, so they're going to have to stay very, very keen-eyed on him. Here, Zero Tolerance Skills, of course, also trying to inch forward in towards that zone, tossing those smokes out, just creeping up closer and closer as these teams are forced together by this zone. We still have 6 teams remaining here on this board, 7 zones deep at the moment, which is absolutely insane to think about. Vortex up there with the best of them, lots of damage being done as Pain continue to operate out of this building, doing quite a bit of damage here. Zero Tolerance still on the back foot here. Vortex, of course, healing on up as the team's still pushing forward. No one's just made that final commitment in towards the push to get any ground gathered here. Dagger just barely peeking out from around that hay bale. The shots coming through from him. UAE still in a decent spot though. Pluto and Matrix also going to hit the ground, which is not the greatest position for them. They're taking quite a bit of damage. Black Clover getting hit by Zero Tolerance Skills, and indeed they will get wiped off the board. 4 teams remaining now. UAE getting themselves revived up for what could potentially be the final fight going through here, as Black Clover getting hammered as well as Zero Tolerance and UAE moving up in their direction here. Pain, the Beast, going to be moving up behind Cold, and Zero Tolerance pushing in from the north side there, or from the west side is actually where they are situated on the map, up towards the top, pushing through. These teams, 4 of them remaining, are going to have to try and fight for the final time. That Molotov doing so much damage. That might be the end for UAE, in fact, as Potato now forced into a very difficult spot under so much pressure, so much fire, too much damage being done from the side of Zero Tolerance. The Crosshairs absolutely making sure that they find their target, and indeed they certainly will. Matrix now put under so much pressure, has to get that reload in, barely does it in time, but will not find the final hits, as of course the third party does come through. 2 teams remaining, that of course being Zero Tolerance Skills and Cold, who has managed to remain. It's a 1v3, and we know this most likely won't work out for him. Cold just barely staying alive for the time being. Going to keep his crosshair trained on towards the staircase, as the final stand will come through very, very soon. 10 seconds left before that zone does start to move up once again. Zero Tolerance pretty much have everything they need to make this happen. Up comes Cold to try and catch them off guard, but it's not going to be enough. It is going to be a secured victory, a secured chicken dinner for Zero Tolerance Skills.
And they do so with 16 kills on the board. Absolutely phenomenal performance coming in there from Zero Tolerance. Just bringing their A-game play in this final match here for today. But of course, Aphelion Apex finishing off in that second place on 6 kills. It was a very sad end there for Cold. But hey, you know, if you got to make the try at least, you got to put in the effort, try and see if you can pull it off. Bane once again stepping up, finishing out their game on 10 kills. So really exceptional performance coming in from them as well. So really good showing that we've been having. The teams bringing in the aggression, bringing the points, and a few teams not really performing as we would have hoped. But that is, of course, just the way it goes. That is the way that we see it working with the Battle Royale. Some days it works, other days not so much. But what a day it was, though.
But I have to say, I have to give it to you, DK, and you sort of called it. You were like, you wanted to see teams like Zero Tolerance Skills come up and showcase their talent, and they actually did. They brought the game, and they got away with a winner chicken dinner. But also nice to see teams like Aphelion and Apex showing a certain level of consistency, being up there and keeping the points going, because those points would definitely come in handy towards the end of the round. So let's see if our updated standings already to see what's popping after this game, who did what and who ended up where. We're super excited to see those standings. Now, I also have to remind everybody once again, if you are not following Nordwing Gaming on all our socials, you need to do so now. Follow Nordwing Gaming Africa and stay up to date on all the information, stats, and schedules of all the different tournaments that are happening in the esports world in Africa, as our standings are being pulled up. Patchy, Game 6, Group B versus Group C. What's popping?
31 points is popping for Zero Tolerance Skills there. 15 placements and 16 kills off the back of that game. That's sure to mix things up on that final leaderboard, on that overall standings. Of course, Pain Africa coming in their second place with 20 points, 10 kills and 10 placements. Some very nice consistency coming in from the top 2 teams. They're moving down into third place. Of course, 18 points in the hands of Aphelion Apex, as you mentioned. Good to see them consistently placing a little bit higher and boosting themselves up. Undisputed AE going to continue to put some points on the board, as they should still have the lead in terms of the overall standings. Black Clover coming in 5th place, BBC in 6th. We've got the Drogons in 7th, and G3 are coming down in 8th place there with 3 points to round out the first page there of the leaderboard. Of course, you know, it is nice to see BBC at least make it into the top 8, and G3, of course, up in towards the top 8 as well. But definitely not a performance that we were expecting out of them in terms of Miramar. Surely you would expect something a lot more coming out on a map that they are very much renowned for being good at. Of course, moving into the second page, it's Euphoric Gods in 9. We've got Scincerity in 10, Comfy Cartel coming in 11, Young Thundercats in 12, Influence Rage in 13, then of course Slime, Lag, and Rain from Hell coming in 14, 15, and 16 with null each. So yeah, that is pretty much the rounding out of the scores of that game. But it is the MVP that we're looking for next. 851 damage, 6 kills in the hands of Vortex from Zero Tolerance Skills with a survival time of 25 minutes and 28 seconds coming through there with that MVP.
Yes, shout out to Zero Tolerance Skills there for bringing the highest points total of the day in all our 3 matches. We also have to wait to see how these particular matches affects the overall leaderboard. Wow, DK, what are we looking at right here?
Well, we were
Numbers and
looking
names.
from yeah, names and numbers. Like, man, that is what it is. Names and numbers. A lot
Oh,
of them on the screen
like
right here, but
numbers.
especially, yes, Patchy loves them. But as the one thing for me that especially is standing out on this is the impressive move that we've seen come in from the side of Pain Africa. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. They've just pushed themselves up that leaderboard, bringing in quite a bit of performance, and in the process, moving Gun down from third place, down into third place. So really strong showing coming in there from Pain Africa. Really impressed with what they've been bringing to the table today. But of course, so we've got to speak about the side there of Zero Tolerance. They've been also able to secure themselves a position in that top 5. 2 chicken dinners under the belt, and they've also now joined up in it towards the century count. 5 teams sitting on over 100 points. It's a little bit sad to not see G3 up in the top 5 there, but of course we still have a few more games left to go in this round for them to potentially try and make up for that. As we now head on to the second page, you can see Aphelion, Apex, NFxUnique, Euphoric Gods. A lot of teams positioned on this page, but we strangely enough still also see the side there of Ultra 6 and Young Thunder, who've each now had a chicken dinner. Both sitting on exactly the same amount of total points, only the kills and of course placement points being what separates these two teams. But now it's going to be interesting to see as we progress on through onto the next page and also into the next days what the teams will bring. As we can see, of course, see also Rainbow Six Madagascar, 1 chicken dinner under the belt, but we find them on that last page. So we know that it is safe to say that a chicken dinner doesn't secure you a good position on the overall leaderboard. There's a lot of consistency that needs to come on in, and we're definitely going to be looking to see how the teams on this last page will be performing with regards to their consistency and whether or not they'll be able to dial it up to get on to those first 2 pages.
Well, we are hoping that these teams can make it up to the first 2 pages because looking at these kill leaders, Undisputed AE, G2 Temper, Undisputed AE, and BBC, all teams represented. Potato with 20 kills, Buden with 19 kills, Matrix with 18 kills, and Lord with 18 kills as well. These are the players that are bringing out the kills in this second round of the Umzansi Esports League PUBG Mobile Tournament Season 3. And we're looking at these names switching up as well as more players decide to bring the kills when they go into our various maps. This has been our final map of the day. We're super excited to see everything that had happened today. It's a blessing to be witnessing this. What a time to be alive. And the Umzansi League Season 3 brought to you, of course, by Nordwing Gaming. I want to say big thank you to Patchy and DK for doing an amazing job. Like you can tell, when these two guys come together, you get all the action and all the analysis right to your mobile or devices or whatever you're watching us on right now. I want to say thank you guys. Thank you to everyone watching at home. The action isn't over. It still continues tomorrow, and I would like you all to join us for more action from the Umzansi Esports League Season 3. See you guys tomorrow.